now on its 71st year of fostering virtuous, competent, and globally competitive electronics professionals. IECEP is embarking the virtual world to deal with the new normal. Bolder, remodeled, revamped. Ladies and gentlemen,
COVID-19 pandemic may have focused to shut down some of the educational institutes across the country, but we cannot stop our learning and sharing our knowledge. To our participants, the bolder, remodeled, and revamped professionals in electronics engineering from all over the Philippines and abroad, maayong gabi and assalamualaikum. Welcome to the 2021 webinar collaboration series with IECEP Qatar and IECEP CARAGA chapter on its first quarter technical seminar on data storage for CCTV systems. As part of our pursuit and continuing professional development as an electronics engineer by profession, this technical seminar is approved with 2.5 CPD points by the Professional Regulations Commission or the PRC. I am Engineer Janice Puspus from IECEP CARAGA chapter, your moderator for this webinar. So to start, let us invoke the presence of our Almighty by an invocation to be followed by virtually singing both the national anthem of Qatar and Philippines through an audio-visual presentation.
Our ever-loving Father, the core of every reason, the source of truth. You who made the earth and the heavens are the ultimate goal of every knowledge seekers, the infinite wisdom, the cause of all that is good. We are truly grateful for this opportunity to gather together as a community despite the challenges we face each day. Yet you remained and gave us strength to carry on the responsibilities of bearing intelligence and using them for better purposes. We now humbly ask you to join us in our endeavor to explore the wonders of life in the world for knowledge's sake, that in whatever we learn today, we become more grounded to you, who is truth, who is love. We pray that you bless our speakers, the fount of your infinite knowledge, that they can share something worthwhile despite the limited time we have. They can channel all they know and share to us the beauty and truth of living as your child. We pray that you guide our participants, the seekers of your boundless knowledge, that they may continue to persevere in the search and be deemed worthy to share what they learn from today's session. Sanctify us, O Lord, not because we are worthy of it, but because we believe in your love and mercy, that at the end of the day, we can take home something that's amazing and meaningful. This we ask and pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang mag-ibig, telas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ng bagaw, ay hinagang tulang awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidinig. Lupa ng araw ng walang pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang hindi kaya na بمن نشر الضياء قطر ستبقى حرة تسمو بروح الأوفياء سيروا على جولا سيروا وعلى ضياء الأنبياء قطر بقلب سيرة عز وأمجاد الهباء قطر الرجال الأولين حماتنا يوم النداء وحمائم يوم السلام جوارح يوم الفداء قطر الرجال الأولين حماتنا يوم النداء وحمائم يوم السلام جوارح يوم الفداء قسما 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 بمن رفع السماء قسما بمن نشر الضياء قطر ستبقى حرة تسمو بروح الأوفياء.
Ma'am, nakamute ka, sorry. Paano?
Okay, before we formally start, allow me to remind you of our house rules for this webinar. Okay, so first, please type your full name as your sign-in shall be cross-checked with our list of registrants, and the same would be reflected on your e-certificate. Of course, let us be respectful and treat everyone how you would like to be treated. And please be an active participant. You may direct your topic-related questions in our Q&A chat box, as we will try to cover all of it before the end of the session. And please no spamming in the chat box. You are enjoined to attend the whole duration of the webinar because we have a strict attendance system in place, and checking shall be done from time to time. Your attendance will be invalidated if you do not complete the 90% of the session. And at the end of the session, kindly accomplish the post-webinar assessment and evaluation survey, which will be sent to your registered email address. Are the house rules understood? All right. So without much further ado, let us hear the welcome address of this year's IECEP Qatar Chapter Governor, an electronics engineer, and an associate ASEAN engineer. Let us welcome Engineer Kensley Armon F. Manesi. Virtual applause, please.
Hello? Dinig ba ako, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Loud
Yes.
and clear.
So, hello to our BECs. I think they will be here later. ISAP national officers, chapter officers, guest of honors, dear members, and to all fellow ECEs and professionals in the Philippines, good afternoon, good evening, and kung nasa man kayo sa mundo, good day po. So I hope everyone is safe and well in the midst of this pandemic. We made sure to continue learning in this new normal. So as ECEs, we use the technology to connect from each other even though we are miles and miles away. So let us take advantage of this opportunity to upgrade ourselves. So I will not make this message long, for I know you're all excited, very excited for our topic today. So I would like to thank IECEP CARAGA chapter for this collaboration, especially Gov Chris and the officers. So let's sit back, relax, and please enjoy the rest of your day. So maraming salamat po. One IECEP.
Thank you very much, Engineer Manesi, for that very great welcome message. Yes, we're really excited. So this time, let us hear another welcome message from the Governor of IECEP CARAGA chapter, a professional electronics engineer and a doctor of philosophy, Engineer Criseldo C. Kalinawan. Sir?
Okay, thank you po, Angelis. Okay, so of course, my respect to IECEP Qatar, headed by our ever active Governor, Engineer Kensley Armonif Manase, and the team. Of course, to my team CARAGA and national chapter, and to our distinguished virtual guest of honors, resource speaker, and to my fellow engineers from Qatar in our homeland Philippines who participated through our Zoom or Facebook and YouTube Live. So, good day to all of us. Magandang gabi sa Pilipinas. Magandang hapon po dyan po sa Middle East. And of course, so good day na lang po in general. So, in behalf of the organizing team, I thank each and every one of you and welcome for attending virtually to our 2021 webinar collaboration series between IECEP Qatar and CARAGA chapter. Now for the topic entitled Data Storage for CCTV System with approved 2.5 CPD points of the Provisional Regulations Commission of the Philippines. Tonight and today and this afternoon marks an important collaboration milestone between our chapters, and I would like to express my sincere appreciation to ISIP Qatar for spearheading this first quarter technical seminar collaboration in spite of the global pandemic. Data storage for CCTV systems is of great significance nowadays, since the surveillance industry in the 21st century is one of the largest consumers of data storage media due to the demand of continuous recording and, of course, a growing technology. So, as electronics engineer by profession, the need to be updated on this technology is of great necessity for all of us and as part of our commitment to continuing professional development. So, with no much further ado, once again, welcome to our virtual webinar series. God bless and stay healthy, everyone. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, sir, for that welcome message. Again, welcome everyone. And we would also like to acknowledge the presence of the board of directors of the electronics engineering, Dr. Alnar D'Italia, Engineer Romulo Agatep, and Engineer Jesse Di Toro is here with us tonight or today there in Qatar. So hello, engineers, hello, doctors. Good evening or good afternoon, good day, and welcome to our webinar today. So at this juncture, the 2018 IECEP Qatar Chapter Governor, a professional ECE, and an ASEAN Chartered Professional Engineer, let us welcome Engineer Sherwin Siri Kaflanka for the introduction of the resource speaker. A virtual applause, please. Sir?
Hello, good evening dyan sa Philippines, and good afternoon sa lahat ng nandito sa Middle East, and good day to everyone around the world. So I was given the opportunity to introduce our resource speaker, for today. So our speaker is an experienced professional electronics engineer specializing in the field of IT systems engineering. He graduated cum laude in the University of San Jose Recoletos in Cebu with a degree of electronics and communications engineering last April 2004. Currently, he holds several IT certifications from different IT vendors and organizations alike. He started practicing in the field of IT with the various companies in the Philippines. Firstly, as technical engineer with Mactan South Bend Technologies, Inc. Then as an IT analyst for ITMC for help desk and computer center operations with the International Exchange Bank. When he was in Johnson Controls from 2013 to 2018, he was the systems project engineer involved in delivering turnkey special airport systems for Hamad International Airport from 2013 to 2015. And when he was with Thales Golf from 2018 to 2020, he was leading the deployment and commissioning of Thales video systems, which included video analytics of more than 12,000 cameras and around 70 petabytes of recording storage systems. He was an active volunteer IT instructor in Comsofil, Riyadh, a Filipino IT organization in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, for its networking class from the school year 2011 to 2013. A former committee head for education and technical development for IECEP Qatar from 2015 to 2016. Our VG education in 2016 and 2017. VG internal for VG internal affairs in 2017 to 2018, and VG external affairs 2018 to 2019, and our immediate past governor of IECEP Qatar. So let me again, let us all welcome Engineer Carmelito Bernadez Jr. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon po dito sa Middle East. Good evening po sa inyo dyan lahat sa Pilipinas.
Gop, mahina yung ano mo?
Hello?
Audio?
Mahina ba? Ayan, okay na? Hello? Okay na? Hello, Brad Kens? Hello?
Mahina, mahina.
Hello?
Yan.
Ayan. Hindi na lang ako mag-headset. Okay. Good evening po sa lahat. First, I would like to acknowledge Dr. Alnar Ditalia, our Board of ECE. Good evening po, Doc. Our IECEP BODs, Engineer Joseph Carl Salva, of course, Engineer Romulo Agatip, nandito rin. Good evening, sir. So, sino pa ba? Govtanya. Nandyan pala si Govtanya. Good evening po. So, yan ako lang. Share screen. Share screen. Okay. Kita ba? Kita, no? Kita ba? Kita ba?
Yep, kita po. Klaro, sir, klaro.
Okay na.
Yes, sir. We can see your presentation po.
Okay. Okay na. Okay. So, may glitch lang konti sa audio. Okay, so I'll be presenting data storage for CCTV systems. So, topic outline natin mostly are basics of storage, storage concepts, protocols and technology, data storage implementation for different CCTV applications, and then Q&A portion. So, with regards to data storage implementation, may ano lang ko as sample, no? Sample for our parang culmination ng natin topic outline. So, mga sample siya, mostly CCTV and then different requirements. So, to proceed, ano ba yung natin? Mostly alam na natin na nag-i-store tayo ng data which is to be retrieved later on. Yan na. And then, of course, we have to touch some of the basic concepts, even some of the history and evolution, no, para maintindihan natin konti. So just a brief history. So we started with punch cards way back in 1890. It was only able to store around 80 characters. So that was one of the first storage devices we had. And then, of course, meron tayong pinakaunang magnetic recording natin, which was way back in 1932. It stored about 4 KB only. Imagine this big of a drum and then 4 KB storage. look at what we have right now, you know. So, ang nangyayari, gaya nga nung nasabi sa Moore's Law, which is a bit, hello? Yan, which is a bit, advanced.
Gov, mahina yung audio, yung sa voice.
Mahina ito ngayon?
Oo, mahina.
Okay. Tinanggal ko na lang. Okay. Then of course, it evolved. We have the magnetic tape drive in 1951, which was by Eckert and Mauchly via the Univac 1, which stored about 231 kilobytes of data. And then the first hard disk drive in 1956, which was first introduced by IBM at about stores about 3.75 megabytes of data. And then the first floppy disk drive in 1967, introduced by IBM also, and stored about 80 kilobytes of data. And then we went to optical afterwards, which was the compact disc in 1982. This one developed both by Sony and Philips and stored about 700 megabytes. Ito medyo malaki na yung leap nung natin, capacity. Then of course, nag-zip drive, ewan ko kung nakita nyo pa to, dati nung OOGT pa lang ako sa Equitable PCI Bank, nakikita ko to siya mostly dun sa mga mga machines doon. And it was at around 750 megabytes of data. It was developed by iOmega. And then lumabas yung digital versatile disk in 1995, developed both by Sony and Philips. Single layer can store up to 4.7 gigabytes, but actually the dual layer can store twice the amount, which is around 9.4 gigabytes. And then again, another natin is the secure digital cards, which is SD cards. Even ngayon nandito pa to, no? Yung iba, yung floppy disk, hindi mo na makikita. Yung zip drive, hindi mo na makikita. Of course, CD, DVD, nandyan pa. And then you have the secure digital card. Ito madalas ginagamit sa sa edge recording. When it comes to recording cameras via edge, in case na maputol yung connection mo, at least you will have recording of your cameras when it comes to CCTV applications locally. And then currently it can store up to terabytes of data. Before, when it started, around 2 gigabytes lang siya. Pero ngayon marami ng vendors, tapos marami ng manufacturers, at nag-improve na rin yung density ng electronics. It's now able to store terabytes of data. So even days without connectivity, as long as may power yung camera, kaya mo siyang i-store yung recording mo. So again, that's the brief history. We'll go through the storage concepts. Sa storage concepts naman, ang mostly na itatakil natin dito is the most common forms of storage media and the typical components of the storage system. May chat ba? Okay. And of course, when it comes to forms of storage media, focus tayo dito sa large capacity drives. So focus tayo more on mechanical and the solid states. So ito yung mga mostly prevalent na na forms of storage media, wherein you can actually store it magnetically using these mechanical devices, at the same time electronically using the solid state devices. So we have this typical mechanical disk drive. So we have the platters, read-write heads, actuators, spindle motors. So ito yung typical na makikita mo sa isang hard drive. So the actuator used for moving the heads along the sectors of the tracks or the platters. And then of course the spindle also has a motor in order to rotate the spindle, during the operation, read, write, and operations. And then, of course, dito yung connectors mo na side, which is to connect your drives to the storage subsystem or the adapters, sa computer adapters to access your data. And then yung iba sa IDE, ewan ko lang kung may mga IDE pa ngayon, no? May mga jumper block tayo dyan in order to select which is the master and the slave. And then of course the power connector, which usually comprises of 5 volts and 12 volts. 12 volts usually for the motor power, and the 12 volts usually for the motor power, and the 5 volts which is used for the data transfer. Okay, so yan yung actual. Pag binuksan mo siya, ito yung actual assembly niya sa PATA and SATA. At the same time, may makikita ka parang PCB. Itong PCB na to, ito yung mostly electronics na nagko-control nung motor, nung accessing ng data. At the same time, pampabilis din, no? Kasi minsan yung data mo ay nakastore na pala sa RAM. May RAM din kasi ang hard drive ng PCB ng hard drive, para in case na magra-write ka ng data at i-retrieve mo siya at the same time, mabilis na lang, hindi mo na kailangan iikutin pa yung plotter. Dito mo na lang sa RAM, which is readily available, and it improves the performance. Okay, next, forms of the same forms of storage media. Again, the typical HDD heads and platter surfaces. So ito yung typical, may mga 8 heads, 4 platters, and then we have the track, which is this one, the circular track, and the cylinder, and then you have the sector. So the actual allocation of your sectors and tracks would look like this. Pero ito parang representative lang siya. In real world scenario, halos maliliit yan, di mo makikita. So each track, each cylinder is divided into each track, and then you have each track is divided into sectors. Diyan niya mamamap yung natin, no? Yung data kung saan niya ilalagay. Sector 1, sector 2, sector 3. So dun niya magbabase kung saan niya i-retrieve later on pag sinulat niya. And then when it comes to tracks and sectors, I believe sa mga lumang hard drives, nasa 512 bytes lang siya. 512 bytes. Sa mga bago at very high density, nasa 4 kilobytes na siya. 4 kilobytes ginagamit para nga ma-improve yung yung density, at the same time yung efficiency, because if you look at it, every time na magra-write ka ng data, you have to put some gap, some synchronization, at the same time some address marks in order to properly write the data, and at the same time to properly retrieve it later on. So ito yung isa sa parang mga tables niya, gap sync address for a hard drive using 512 byte sector and the 4096 byte sector. So when you say byte, it's composed of 8 bits as per our communications top subjects, no? And of course, kung may error correction code siya, ang 512 is 50 bytes, 4096 is 100 bytes, and the total, ito yung pinaka-total na consumption niya doon sa surface, no? Efficiency, may kita mo nag-improve from 512 to 4096. And then ang problema lang is yung nga, siguro hindi naman prevailing. Depende din kasi sa operating system. Yung operating system mo minsan hindi siya nakaka-map ng advanced format. Itinatawag to is advanced format, itong 4096. Itong 512, ito yung parang native. So, when it comes to large hard drives talaga, yung yung mga latest na operating system, talagang kaya niyang mag-format ng hard drives in 4K bytes. They call it 4K bytes. So, yun yung isa doon. And the next, also makikita mo rin is yung ECC niya when it comes to 4096 bytes. Kumpara mo dun sa ECC niya, consumption ng ECC, error correcting code is lesser. Kasi nga yung sa 512, i-multiply mo ng 8 yung 50 bytes mo, for example, magiging na siya, 8 times 50 is around 400 bytes. So malaki error correction niya, kaya mas lesser efficient siya, no? So next, kung titignan mo yan sa loob, masyadong dikit yung head niya, yung head and slide. So very minimal lang yung gap niya, na may room siya to to write data, writing in an electromagnetic operation. So kung titingnan mo, fingerprint, dust particle, even the human hair is around 0.003 inch, and the gap between the head of your actuator and the actual disk itself, it's around 0.00005 inch. So yun yung pinaka dyan. Kaya yung hard drive actually is susceptible to mga mga tawag nito, head crash or hard drive na failure in due time, dahil nga sa gap na to, tapos at the same time due to wear and tear na rin kasi umiinit din siya. So kung makikita mo, this is how the hard drives records and reads data. When it comes to the density, yung luma, which is the longitudinal recording, ito yung pinakaluma, ito yung pinakabago, and I think ang pinakabago is shingled. So ito yung isa sa pinakabago, which is perpendicular. Ito, makikita mo yung arrows are the north and south position of the magnetic fields, no? So iniiba niya yung yung magnetic field to point 0 and 1. So every time nagre-record tayo ng data, it's either 0 and 1, and it depends on the position of your magnetic fields, which is north or south. So in case na kung ang hard drive mo is longitudinal recording, lesser lang yung mare-record niya, yung density niya is lesser kasi nga naka longitudinal recording siya. When it comes to mga high density, ito na yung gamit, perpendicular recording. So nakatipid ka ng malaking space. And then of course, we have the typical speeds of the hard drives. Alam ko meron na ring 15K, hindi ko lang nasulat, pero usually 5400, 7200, and then 10,000 RPM. So of course, the higher the speed, the better, kasi nga when it comes to accessing the data, mas mabilis yung pag-access niya pag in lesser time niya mapuntahan yung sector na yan or yung tracks. And then yun nga lang yung reliability, hindi pare-pareho halos lahat, no, depende sa vendor. So ito yung nakaka-apekto niya when it comes to speed. When it comes to speed, we have this 7200 RPM, nasa more or less average IOPS niya or input output per second 75 to 100, and then 100 to 130 for the 10k RPM. 15k RPM is around 150 to 190. So bakit ganon? Di ba nga sabi ko kanina, pag mas mabilis, syempre madali siyang matapos sa ano niya, sa read write operation niya. So malaki yung ano niya, malaki yung IOPS niya, input output per second. Okay? So minsan makikita mo rin sa datasheet nila, no? Makikita mo yung ano niya, yung average IOPS niya. For example, ito, meron siyang rotational speed na 10,000 RPM at yung average latency niya is around 3 millisecond. Average seek time niya ay 4.2 for the read, 4.7 for the write. I-average mo yan, 4.2 plus 4.7 divided by 2, more or less 4.45 milliseconds. So the calculated IOPS for this disk is around 0.003, which is the average latency, plus the average seek time. I-add mo yun, tas i-inverse mo, makukuha mo yung average input-output per second. So itong average latency and seek time, magbabago to depende sa rotational speed mo, no? Yung iba 5400, mas matataas to, kaya mas mababa yung ano niya, yung IOPS or input output per second. So very very critical actually ang IOPS, kasi minsan nakukumply mo yung ano, no, yung capacity, but then may problema ka, may performance issue ka. Ito kasi isa sa mga pinaka performance issues sa sa mga large mga large data sets, kasi capacity wise meron sila, pero pagdating sa performance hindi nila naabot. So nangyari, may bottleneck. So may mga nami-miss na frames sa mga recording. So kasi ang daming loads nila, hindi lang recording, nilagyan pa ng mga virtual machines, nilagyan pa ng kung ano-ano. So anong nangyayari, yung virtual machines di naman basta-basta nag-i-increase ng storage yun, pero ang problema is yung IOPS niya. Yung IOPS niya is talagang may impact when it comes to overall performance. So yun. So ganun din when it comes to SSD. Sa SSD naman halos pareho din nung hard drive. Wala nga lang mechanical drives. Purely memories lang siya, which is non-flash memory. Tapos of course may controller ka and may cache. And shock resistant nga siya, no, yung SSD kumpara sa HDD. Kaya ang SSD actually nagsimula siya sa military sector, and then later on na siya commercially. So nagsimula siya kasi nga when it comes to military applications, mostly mobile, like for example kailangan mo ng mga computers na tumatakbo na nasa ere, nasa mga eroplano. So yun yung mga typical na hard drives na ginagamit nila in order to run their applications. So yan. And then ito yung parang logic components niya. So meron kang mga flash memories dyan, meron kang processor, buffer manager to manage the traffic of the data accessing and writing to and outside of the SSD. Of course, again, meron ulit na RAM and the host interface logic or the interface, ito yung pinaka-interface ng ano natin ng SSD. So depende na yan, depende kung anong anong interconnect, pwede SATA, pwede SAS. So later on i-discuss din natin konti. And then of course, may kanya-kanyang design yung yung SSD. May single level cell, may multi-level cell, may triple level cell, mayroon pa nga ring quadruple level cell. So, ano ang implications na ito? So, in each cell, kaya niyang mag-record ng 1 bit. Yung isa naman is 2 bits. Ang isa naman ay 3 bits. Tapos, syempre, yung quadruple ay 4 bits. So, ang kagandahan nito is higher density ka nga dito, no, sa single level kumpara sa triple level, multi-level, mas higher density ka kumpara sa single level, pero may drawback yan. Okay? So, like for example, ang drawback yan? Ayan, yan yung isa sa mga drawback niya. Kasi ang SSD, ang lifetime niya is mostly write erase cycles, program erase cycles. So, yun ang problema niya na teka lang, increase ako lang sandali yung volume. Okay, maximum na. Okay. So, ewan ko kung na-increase. Okay, so yun ang isa sa drawback nung SSD. Sobrang bilis niya when it comes to IOPS, input output per second. Mas marami siya kumpara sa hard disk drive. Yung hard disk drive per hard drive nasa 170 o kaya 150 IOPS, input output per second. Pero yung yung SSD umaabot siya ng daan-daang libo na na minsan 80,000, minsan 70,000, depende sa design at depende rin sa sa manufacturer specifications. Ang problema lang is itong every time na magra-write at erase ka, nare-reduce yung lifetime niya. So it's not actually it's not kung meron man kayong SSD na hard drive, hindi siya maganda na dinidefrag. Kasi every time magdi-defrag ka, magra-write erase ka sa sectors nung nung NAND flash mo, which is the memory cell of your SSD hard drive. Kaya ang tanong, yung SSD, yung hard disk drive, dinidefrag yun, okay lang yun kasi hindi naman siya based on write erase cycles yung lifetime niya. Mostly ang lifetime nung HDD is MTBF, mean time between failure, or pwede rin annual failure rate, depende sa specification ng vendor. So yung SSD more on write erase cycles, at papakita natin yan mamaya is mga values niya na binibigay. Okay, and like for example, ito yung parang outline niya, galing sa Micron SLC. So lower dollar per GB. Okay, medyo mura. Okay, mas maliit nga lang yung yung capacity mo. Pero yun nga, mataas yung niya, write erase cycles. Pero pag tumaas ka na ng tumaas, mataas na yung density, so marami kang storage in a certain area of NAND memory, ang problema naman, lumiliit naman yung program erase cycles. So as much as possible, hindi mo talaga siya gagamitin for write erase operations. Kung as much as possible, gagawin mo lang siya sa mga operating system partitions wherein isang beses mo lang, hindi naman tayo madalas nagfo-format ng hard drive. Yun natin doon natin siya madalas ini-employ. Mostly lang, write once tapos read many, mga ganun na operations. Okay. And then of course, meron tayong tinatawag na again, drive writes per day or maximum terabytes written, short for terabytes written. So yun yung isa sa mga nilalagay ng mga mga manufacturer when it comes to reliability. Nilalagay nila diyan na okay, for this 1 terabyte hard drive, ang maximum mo na write for example is 600 terabytes. So pag parati mo siyang ginagamit mo siya sa recording solution na nag-write erase at the same time, so madali lang siyang ma-worn out. So later on hindi na siya madidetect, magfi-fail na siya. Pero when it comes to performance, talagang maasahan mo yung SSD. When it comes to random pa, hindi pa sequential. Kasi yung random, yun yung isa sa pinaka challenging na na I/O ng mga hard drives. So kung makita natin, ito yung parang typical na table nung natin, SSD. Meron tayong SATA, meron tayong SAS, PCIe, NVMe. So may kanya-kanyang siya, IOPS. Kasi different protocols ang gamit niya. At the same time, iba-iba din yung niya, iba-iba din yung capacity range. Tapos makikita mo talaga iba-iba yung power consumption. Kasi nag-iiba na yung niyan, level. Single level, may multi-level. So for example, itong SSD meron tayong 75 read IOPS maximum or 32,000 write IOPS. So kaya niya ng sequential read or sequential write. When you say sequential, sunod-sunod na na read operations, which is sequential write, sunod-sunod na write operations naman. So yan yung isa sa mga parameters natin ng SSD and hard drives. Pwede palakasan yung boses. Nilakasan ko na konti. Ewan ko lang kung malakas pa ba. Ayan, so mahina talaga ang boses. Pinalakasan ko na eh. Clear na? Baka sa connection.
Okay na, Gob. Sige po.
Okay. Okay, so yun, ang isa din sa pinakamagandang ng attribute ng SSD is syempre lesser power consumption siya when it comes to electrical load, kasi nga mostly lang siya non-flash memory. When it comes to hard disk drives naman, may mga motors ka, spindle ng motor ng actuator. So syempre yun, may mga additional wattage na rin yun. Tapos yung kung may question kayo, forms of storage media, type nyo lang. Kung wala, I'll proceed. Okay. So, ano ba yung alam na natin yung media, na pwede yung mga typical is either magnetic, mechanical magnetic, or SSDs, which is solid state drives. Ngayon, ano naman yung way of attachment niya, paano siya i-attach sa mga computer systems? Okay, so ito yung mga common. We have the parallel ATA. We also have the SATA. And then, of course, we also have the SCSI and the SAS. Kanya-kanyang yung PATA, which is parallel ATA. Yung isa naman, SATA, is the serial ATA. Yung SCSI naman, which is the yung yung SCSI naman, and then SAS, which is serial attached SCSI, and then of course fiber channel. Okay, we'll go through one by one. SATA PATA connectors, I believe nakita nyo na to, yung iba sa mga lumang motherboards. And then of course SATA, which is very very common, no, sa mga motherboards natin diyan sa kung makikita mo sa consumer market. And then next, may characteristics din ng PATA, no. Actually ang PATA hindi na yata hindi na common ngayon, SATA na lang. And limited yung bandwidth niya, kaya actually nabuo yung SATA dahil sa limitation ng PATA. Ito yung isa sa mga limitations niya, which is the data transfer rate is at 133 megabytes, and then data cyclic redundancy check for data only but not for commands. So pag may error sa commands, hindi niya basta-basta ma-correct. Support attachment for devices per cable is 2 devices only. Gaya nung nasabi ko kanina, kung nakita mo yung jumper cables, yun yung isa sa mga selector niya na sa kanila mag-i-elect for being a master or a slave. So connecting SATA devices, you have to configure the jumper cables in order for it to be detected properly. Tapos yun lang talaga ang maximum niya, per cable, 2 devices lang talaga siya. Yung nga sabi, small switch or jumper for drive selection, and then high pin count. Kung nakita nyo kanina, may around 80 pins siya. 80 ba o 40? We'll check. Wide cables are cumbersome, of course. Isa sa mga issue niya is nag-i-inhibit ng airflow, making cooling more difficult, lalo na sa mga small form factor na desktops or workstations. Wala ka na talaga makikita dyan, IDE, kasi nga nagre-restrict din siya ng airflow. And connectors are hard to insert and remove, and prone to bent pins. So itong madalas na issue nung parallel ATA, which is every time na tatanggal at ibabalik mo, minsan nayuyup yung yung pins. So yun isang ang issue niya. So pag na-UP na yun, tapos natanggal ng connector, wala na, hindi na siya gagana. Okay. Ito yung parang small history ng parallel ATA natin. Nagsimula sa ATA 2 hanggang ATA at P7. So kaso ang problema, hanggang dito na lang talaga yung speed niya, kaya nabuo yung SATA. Ang SATA naman, umabot siya ng 600 megabytes per second, no? At full duplex siya. So when it comes to parallel ATA, yung transfer of data niya is via parallel mode. Ito naman via serial mode at full duplex. Tapos ang kagandahan is support attachment of up to 16 devices per port, and also it allows for hot plug. Yung IDE, pag tinanggal mo at ibalik mo, hindi na pwede yun. Sa SATA, like for example, makikita mo sa mga normal na mga NVR, mostly mga NVRs na SATA, it allows for hot plug. So kahit tumatakbo yung system, kaya mo siyang tanggalin tas ibalik. So yun isa sa mga magandang features niya. Yung 16 devices per port, usually may port ka na nasa motherboard, tapos ilalagay mo siya sa sa port multiplier. May tinatawag tayong SATA port multiplier para ma-expand mo yung number of devices mo in one port. Kaso yun nga, ang isa sa doon, constraint lang doon is madi-divide yung number, yung bandwidth mo doon sa number of devices meron ka. Okay. Then of course, yung evolution na SATA mostly nasa speed lang. May nag-evolve din sila lately which is external SATA, no? So may mga nakita ko before na mga laptops na nagsusupport na external SATA. So kung may external hard drive ka, tas may external SATA port, pwede mo siyang idagdag doon, isaksak doon diretso at madidetect agad yung yung hard drive kasi nga supported yung yung hot plug ng SATA. So before, nung wala pang USB na higher versions, which is mabagal yung yung speed, nandito yung before yung external SATA which is nasa 6 gig. Nagbibigay siya ng 6 gig full duplex. Kaya namayagpag siya dati. Ngayon medyo bago na yung mga SATA, mabibilis na. Yung USB pala, sorry. Yung USB. Okay. SATA port expansion. So, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na SATA port expansion. Yung letter M is the port multiplier. Of course, the D are your devices. And then, meron kang connector. And then, H is your host. So, meron ka isang port sa host. Tapos, gusto mong dagdagan ng hard drive. I-connect mo lang siya sa isang port multiplier, SATA port multiplier. Almost the same din siya sa mga SAS, serial attached SCSI. Kaso mas marami lang yung SCSI kumpara sa sa SATA. Yung SATA hanggang 16 lang siya. Okay. Next. Continuing, we have SCSI and SAS interfaces. Makikita mo yung SCSI Ultra 320, ito yung parang parallel interfacing. Parang din siya, papakita ko mamaya mga connectors. Parang pata din siya, kaso mas mabilis siya, 320 at the same time up to 16 devices. And then of course, nung nag-serial na, ang pinaka-latest is 4.0, around 2,400 megabytes per second with up to 16,256 devices. Of course, these 16,256 devices, pareho nung SATA, para ma-increase mo yung number of devices mo, gagamitan mo siya ng port expander. Kaso yung kaibahan ng port expander or port multiplier ng SATA, yung sa SAS naman, kaya niya hanggang 128 devices in one port expander. Kaya ganyan kadami yung yung devices niya. So yan yung mga typical na connectors before sa mga SCSI. May 68 pin, may 50 pin, may 25 pin. So kanya-kanyang depende sa kung anong time siya nag-prevail, kasi may kanya-kanyang may 160, may 120 megabytes, hanggang nung pinaka-last na is yung 320 megabytes per second. And then sa SAS naman, internal, ito is mga pinaka-common, internal mini SAS. Tapos meron din tayong internal high density SAS connector. Of course, meron din yung mga external, marami siyang photos actually, kung makita mo. Depende sa depende sa application. So isa sa mga application, papakita ko. So ayan. So like for example, typical na SAS expansion connection, no? So meron ka ditong SAN unit. ito yung pinaka-head unit mo. And then, kailangan mo mag-expand. So, kailangan mo maraming hard drives from the same SAN unit. So, i-expand mo lang siya using expansion enclosure. Pero ang mga gamit dito ay mga external SAS na. Either external mini SAS or high density mini SAS. So, meron siyang mga ganyan na, na configuration. Ito naka-DC chain. Pero open to, hindi naka-loop. May iba, may mga naka-loop pa talaga, babalik pa dito. So, for redundancy purposes. So, kahit matanggal yung isa, hindi madi-disconnect yung mga hard drives. Ito, typical na, SAN unit na walang, walang redundancy sa loop niya. So, ayan, hindi ko alam kung ilang hard drives to. Siguro nasa mga 2U to eh. So, mga more or less 24 hard drives in one enclosure. Pero may mga nakita ako na kaya ng ilan ba? 90 hard drives. May nakita ko 90 hard drives in one 5U enclosure. 5U enclosure, 90 hard drives. So, ang ngayon, hindi lang yung hard drives ang nagkaka high density, pati na rin yung mga enclosures. Mga high density na rin yung mga enclosures ngayon. So, yun. So, yun yung natin, SCSI and SAS. Ang sa SATA, hindi na talaga siya nag-improve, hanggang 6 gigabits per second lang siya or 600 megabytes per second. Pero yung SAS, ang pinaka mabilis niya ngayon is 24 gig, which is yung nakita natin kanina, 2,400 megabytes per second. And then of course, meron tayong isa pa, which is fiber channel. Fiber channel up to speeds of 128. Hindi lang siguro gumana yung keyboard ko nung pag-type nito. Anyhow, up to 128 gigabits siya. Mas mabilis siya kaysa sa SAS. At the same time, lossless protocol transports SCSI commands over fiber channel networks. So, may mga kanya-kanyang topologies din siya, may point-to-point, may arbitrated loop or naka-loop, and then of course the switch fabric. Ang usual implementation niya is switch fabric kasi nga gusto mong i-distribute yung storage mo to multiple host, mas mabilis, at the same time lesser yung downtime pag naka-switch ka. Pag arbitrated kasi, pag naputol yung isa, posibleng may impact doon sa kabila. So, when it comes to fiber channel, SAS or SCSI, ito yung mga typical topology niya. May storage ka dito, naka-attach siya via your host bus adapter. So, either SAS or SCSI or fiber channel. Then of course, yung server mo na connect sa LAN, local area network, and then yung clients mo, ina-access yung mga services or mga resources na yon. Okay. Next, fiber channel arbitrated loop. So ito yung parang typical na implementation niya. Naka-loop siya, may isang hub. So connected sila like a normal loop. Okay? Kaso lang pag naputol yung isa diyan, posibleng hindi na to maka-access dito, depende sa configuration mo, kung may ka pa additional na redundancy. And then yung switch, of course, yung switch talagang lang siya sa isang link diretso sa switch, and then another one papunta. So ang node dito pwedeng server, pwedeng storage. So like for example, yung nodes dito sa taas ay mga servers, yung node dito sa baba ay mga storage. So in case na kailangan mag-access ng resource nung node 1, there must be some configuration to be done in the fiber channel switch para ma-ensure na may access siya dito sa storage na to. Dedicated lang. So, yun. Yung isa sa gagawin dito na part. And then, yung mga connection niya, yung mga interfaces niya, SFP madalas. SFP. Yung iba nga, QSFP pa kasi at higher speeds, kailangan mo ng QSFP. Itong mga lower speeds like more or less 32 gig yata, 32 or 16 nasa SFP plus pa lang. Pero pagdating nung higher na, gumagamit na siya ng QSFP or QSFP plus para ma-retain. At the same time, meron ding connectivity na via copper. Ang in-implement is Twinax, kaso pang malapitan lang. Kasi yun nga, at higher speeds mas maganda fiber kasi yung fiber mo is having a lower latency compared sa copper. Tapos minsan yung connectivity mo pa ay malayo, tapos at higher frequency pa kasi higher data rates, mas suitable talaga ang fiber. Kaya dito nakikita mo LC cables for SFPs. Dito naman parallel MPO cables for the fiber. Parallel MPO fiber cable to. So wala pang questions, no? Or meron ng questions?
May question sa ano.
Parang
Sorry.
Pupil may feedback yung
ito?
Feedback siya ata. Go.
How often po?
How often po napatakbuhin yung trim ng SSD? Yung trim, if I'm not mistaken, sa ano to, no? Sa anong file system kaya to sinasabi? XFS yata? So, depende sa pangailangan mo actually. Kasi kung kailangan mo na talaga ng space, i-execute mo na kasi halos wala naman siyang wala naman siyang tawag nito, impact sa performance. Yun nga lang yung yung impact mo is yung sa reliability niya. Kaya kung nakikita mo na yung lifetime nung SSD na malapit na, palitan mo na agad para ma-execute mo na yung trim na command. So depende kasi may mga utility na nagta-track kung ilan na yung data na write na erase nung SSD na na hardware. So may mga may mga utility sila na nilalagay lalo na sa mga enterprise level. So I hope I answered your question, Sir Arnel Grospi. So next. So of course, alam na natin yung media, alam na rin natin yung storage interfaces. So may hard drives na tayo, tas alam na natin kung anong connector. Ngayon, paano natin i-implement? Anong kasunod? Di ba? So we have to touch into the protocols and technologies. So when it comes to protocols and technologies, punta tayo dito sa yung mga typical na forms of data storage. So meron tayong direct attached storage, meron din tayong sinasabi na storage area networks, and then meron din tayong sinasabi na network attached storage. So, ewan ko kung nakita nyo na to, ito din yung nilagay namin doon sa sa proposed CCTV code, which is yung parang layer nung nung forms of data storage. So pag may DAS ka, direct attached storage, yung application diretso magra-write or read sa file system, tapos yung file system diretso magko-communicate sa disk storage system mo. Pero when it comes to SAN and NAS, so yung yung sa SAN, pupunta mo na siya sa network, i-distribute mo na niya over the network, tapos ipa-plug siya ng application or nung host operating system as a block device, tsaka niya gagawa ng file system. So actually, itong SAN and DAS, they are both block storage systems. Okay? So block to itong NAS and DAS. And then when it comes to NAS naman, ito naman ang file level storage system. Kasi pag sa disk storage pa lang, ina-advertise na siya as a certain file system and then dinistribute over the network. So, tingnan natin yan. Ito ba? Mali yata. Ito. Typical storage protocols and technologies. So, we have IECEP, fiber channel. Ang SCSI na discuss na natin kanina, pero ang fiber channel discuss natin kanina, pero ang IECEP hindi. Of course, FCOE is almost the same with fiber channel. Ang isa lang sa changes nito is you do it over the Ethernet. So, yun ang isa sa kagandahan sa kanya. And then we have NFS and CIFS, the common NAS protocols. We'll see. Sa SCSI, SCSI siya pero over the internet protocol. So when it comes to expansion, so kung gusto mong i-extend yung SCSI storage mo or SAS storage mo, pwede mo siyang provision via IECEP kung supported ng storage controllers. And at the same time, like yung sinabi ko kanina, it provides block access level to access storage devices by carrying SCSI commands over a TCP/IP network. So, yung mga disk commands natin na SCSI protocol, pinapatakbo niya over TCP/IP. So, ang kagandahan yan is yun nga, over TCP/IP, pag over TCP/IP, halos boundless ka, no? Basta meron ka lang connectivity, may route ka doon, kaya mo siyang i-advertise yung block storage na yan papunta doon sa clients. So, yun ang isa sa kagandahan. So, kung titingnan mo, ayan yung disk array natin. Okay. And then, it will be acting as the IECEP target. And then, it will be handled by the storage processors, yung mga request, yung mga mapping, and then pupunta siya over the IP network, TCP/IP, and then i-access siya ng mga host bus adapters natin or HBAs. Can either be hardware or software based. Okay, depende sa operating system. Yung operating system mostly naman basta mga server based, meron ng IECEP initiator na software based. Pero syempre yung kagandahan ng hardware based is offloaded siya sa operating system mo, at the same time offloaded siya sa processor ng host mo. So imbis na yung processor mo is magiging busy sa ibang resources, sumasabay pa yung storage mo pag naka software based ka. Kung naka hardware based ka, may sarili siyang HBA, hardware HBA, host bus adapter, diretso na siya doon sa host bus adapter ipaprocess yung yung most of the storage requests. May it be writing request or reading request from the applications, dadaan na sa HBA. Mag-aabiso na lang sa processor, hindi na kailangan ng processor na process ng most of the task. And of course, dito may disk arrays ka. Later on, discuss natin ano yung mga disk arrays. And when it is being represented via the storage processor, it's usually assigned with LAN. It's usually assigned as a LAN or logical unit numbers para ma-define niya kung which part of the disk arrays ang kailangan mo lang i-access. Okay? So, next. So, ang isa sa sa yung kanina, hindi ko na lang tinuloy yung sa fiber channel kasi na-discuss na natin yun. Ang isa lang sa pinaka doon kaiba is yung fiber channel over Ethernet is parang iSCSI. Okay? Parang iSCSI. Kaso, fiber channel siya, protocol. Fiber channel protocol siya. At the same time, Ethernet na network. Ethernet na network siya. So, yun lang ang kaibahan nila, iSCSI and fiber channel over Ethernet. So, ang doon is, hindi mo na kailangan na mag-separate ng fiber channel network. You can use the existing Ethernet network to provision the storage resources to your host. So, hindi na kailangan ng separate. So, yun ang isa sa kagandahan. Ang isa sa mga common na tawag nila doon is CNA, Converged Network Adapters. And then, NFS, itong NFS is Network File System. Ito yung pinaka-common na network attached storage na file system, NAS files protocol nung Linux. So, common siya at the same time madalas ginagamit siya sa mga Unix systems. And the latest one is in NFS 4, which has improved security. May access control list na siya. Okay? And ewan ko lang kung ano ang latest pa nila ngayon, pero so far ang nakita ko is V4. And then Samba or CIFS, Common Internet File System. Ito naman ay ginawa nung Microsoft. Okay? Ito ang pinaka-latest nila is Samba 3.1.1 with the improved security again, but this time yung nila is end-to-end encryption, and then meron pang reliability, improved reliability also, which is transparent failover. So yung yung previous version actually may mga access control list na rin sila, so hindi na basta-basta naka-access kahit sino lang unless hindi sila defined doon sa access control list nung NAS file system natin. So ito yung parang typical network niya. Dito na side is NAS, dito na side is SAN, dito side is NAS. So may NAS clients tayo dito. Tapos dito naman may SAN storage tayo dito, SAN array, pero ang client niya is parang yung server natin. Pero yung server natin is at the same time a network file server, which is serving SMB, NFS, and even AFS file systems to the NAS clients. AFS is Apple file systems, no? So ito yung parang posibleng mangyari sa isang storage unit na okay, may block storage nga siya sa likod or server, yung storage servers natin, may block storage nga siya sa likod via fiber channel, via iSCSI or ATA over Ethernet, no? Pero at the same time, pwede rin siya i-share as NAS sa front side. So sa back side, nagko-connect siya via SAN ng mga servers, nagko-connect at the back side via SAN, and then on the front, pwede siyang i-advertise niya as NAS. Okay. So, next. So, alam na natin yung storage medium, alam na natin yung connectivity, ngayon alam na rin natin yung forms of data storage para natin sila i-implement. Tapos ano yung mga protocols na kailangan. So like for example, may bunch of hard drives ka, igugrupo mo siya, lagay mo siya sa enclosure, tapos patatakbuhin mo is NAS or SAN, and of course i-wire natin, no? Depende kung ano yung mo, ilang enclosure ang i-add mo. Tapos paano mo siya i-connect? Fiber channel ba? IECEP ba? Fiber channel over Ethernet ba? Or ano pa dyan, no? So yun, may alam na tayo doon. Kaso when it comes to redundancy kasi, typical na ini-implement is yung mga disk arrays. So ano ba yung mga disk arrays na yon? So may tinatawag tayo ng mga JBOD, and then RAID 0, which is redundant array of independent disk 0, and then meron din tayong RAID level 1, RAID level 5, and RAID level 6. So let's go through. When we say JBOD, it's called just a bunch of disk. Wala tayong improved performance, wala ding redundancy. So pag nag-implement tayo nito, parang normal na hard drives lang. Sinaksak mo doon sa sa enclosure, tapos yung enclosure mo mayroong adapter, either SCSI, SAS, tapos sinaksak mo sa server. Yun lang. So pag nagsulat ka doon, inattach mo yung hard drive mo doon, makikita siya ng server or yung client, makikita niya ganito kadaming hard drives, ipo-provision mo sa as JBOD, mangyayari ito ang ito ang layout. So pag nagsulat ka ng data, you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H hanggang ganyan, no? So sa disk 1, ganito ang pagsulat niya, sa disk 2 ganito ang pagsulat niya, sa disk 3 ganito din ang pagsulat niya, and then also in the disk 4 ganito din, and disk 5. So mangyari pag nasira yung isa sa mga disk, like for example sa gitna, wala siyang way to recover. Kasi wala siyang parity or some sort of calculation na i-refer na ganito yung data. Dito yung iba, nandito yung iba, parang ganon. So ito yung isa sa issue ng JBOD. Wala kang redundancy. When it comes to performance naman, siguro yung read lang ang tawag nito ang nag-improve. Kasi like for example, if you want to read data from C, E, and J at the same time, iba-ibang hard drive siya. So pwedeng mag-improve. Pero when it comes to writing, hindi, kasi meron din pala kasi iba-ibang hard drives ang So when it comes to performance, yes, meron, pero when it comes to redundancy, wala. So yun, I stand corrected. Performance meron, pero redundancy wala. Okay? Then the other one is the RAID 0, used to improve performance, of course. At the same time, again, no redundancy. Ang RAID 0 is parang lang siya, no? Ini-span mo lang yung data mo. So for example, may isang hard drive ka dito, tapos meron ka rin dito, ganun din halos pareho sa JBOD, kaso ito talagang naka-pair na sila. So in case pag magdagdag ka, kailangan mo naman biyakin yung 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 RAID mo para lang magdagdag. So ganun din ulit dito naka-distribute block 1, block 2, block 3, block 4, block 5, block 6. So yan, magra-write ka between the two disk and then magre-read ka between the two disk. So pag nasira ang isa, ganun ulit, walang redundancy. So mangyayari wala na yung buong data hindi na mare-recover kasi nga like for example, yung data dito is nakalink dito. Ngayon pag nasira to, wala na, hindi na siya viewable, corrupted na yung data natin. So yung isa is RAID 1, used for redundancy. Okay, RAID performance is increased. Ang problema is 50% overhead. Bakit nagkaganon? Makikita natin dito. So ang dito is parang naka-mirror yung yung data. So kung ano yung sinulat sa block 1, ganoon din sinulat sa block 2, kung ano yung sinulat sa block 3, ganoon sinulat sa block 4. So ang implication is kung ano lang yung speed ng block 1, nung drive 1 tas drive 2, the same lang yung yung writing speed nila kasi nira-write nila the same data at the same time. So yun yung isa sa ang problema is doble yung data natin. So kaya yung overhead is 50%. Kasi nga kung ano sinulat dito, yun yung sinulat sa kabila. Pero ang kagandahan is meron kang redundancy na. Kasi pag nasira yung isa, you have the mirror copy of the data. Mangyayari, ma-access niya pa rin yung mga files mo dito. So before, mga usual implementation is RAID 1 sa mga operating system. Yun ang madalas na ginagamit, RAID 1 para in case na masira, tsaka hindi naman kailangan na malaking storage yung kasi operating system sa mga servers. So yung ginagamit RAID 1 redundant siya. So okay lang kasi lesser lang naman ang storage na kailangan natin sa operating system. So pag sa mga recording storage na hindi na siya actually viable kasi nga nagdodoble ka ng capacity in which mamamahalan na si kliyente. Okay? Then sa RAID 5 naman, may balance ka between performance, cost, and protection. Kasi meron tayong read and write performance increased. Overhead mo is a bit lesser, 33 to 16 depending on the configuration. And it can handle single drive failure. So ang minimum na drive configuration ng RAID is 5. Kasi kita natin yung isa. Kung makikita mo, ito yung RAID 5. Yung sa RAID 5 kasi, for example, magsusulat tayo ng data A1, A2, A3, A4. Tapos dito naman naka-stripe yung parity niya. So in this data stripe, may isang parity dito. So for example, pag nasira ito, kaya niya i-reconstruct, or for example, ito ang disk 4. Kaya niya i-reconstruct yung data ng A4 dahil may parity ka dito. Kakalculate niya lang yung mga natira along with the parity, mare-reconstruct niya yung data na nagre-reside sa block na to. So yun ang isa sa kagandahan nung RAID 5. At the same time, improve yung writing and reading because you are writing here A1, A2, A3, A4, and then of course parity dito, and then pag nagre-read ka naman din, ganun din, i-read mo yung data dito, different sectors of the hard drive. So hindi like huhukayin mo pa dito bago ilalabas yung data, hindi, nandito na siya. So, for example, for data A, A1, A2, A3, halos parang isang cycle lang kaya niya nang kunin. So, yun na isa sa kagandahan. Minimum number of drives in RAID 5 is 3. Yun nga yung sinabi ko kasi, for example, A1, A2, and then after that is parity. Tapos yung efficiency, kaya yung minimum efficiency is overhead is 33% kasi nga okay, so mangyayari dito no, yung yung sinasabi ko kanina na 33% overhead kasi nga minimum yun sa minimum. So, like for example, may RAID configuration ka na A1, A2 ito, dalawang disk, tapos yung pangatlo mo, parang nandyan yung mga parity, no? Kasi yung RAID 5 is distributed parity yan eh. For example, dito may parity ka dito, dito naman sa B is dito na disk, sa C naman, sa disk 3 naman is dito, sa disk 2 is dito. So, nakakalat yung niya, yung parity niya. So, for example, may tatlong hard drive tayo, ginawa nating RAID 5. So, mangyayari, halos yung isang hard drive nun is parang parity na rin. Kasi kung kwentahin natin dito, ito parity, 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 parity. Parang isang buong hard drive siya. So, kung tatlo, 33%, okay. Kung maramihan na, pwedeng 16, pwedeng 10, depende sa configuration actually, no? But, a usual implementation is hindi maganda na maraming hard drive isang RAID kasi yung synchronization niya at the same time yung medyo yung rebuild actually ang isa sa pinaka problema, yung rebuild time niya pag malalaki yung pag maraming hard drives mo in one RAID group, mahirapan siyang mag-rebuild in due time, mamaya masiraan na naman, hindi na siya nakatapos ng rebuild. So, yun yung isa sa mga issue ng RAID configuration. Na hindi mo rin basta-basta palakihan just to save money. Dapat may tamang din siya, no? Tamang configuration din siya. So, next, meron tayong, ito yung parang disk parity table natin. Gaya na sinabi natin kanina. Ito naman, 4 disk. So, for example, nagsulat ka ng isang data dito, 1 byte, dito 1 byte, 1 byte. Ito yung parity niya. Tapos, ganun din dito sa B. So, pag ito, pinarity mo, 0, 1, 1, 0 siya. Kasi OR siya eh. Pag XOR parity ang RAID 5 actually is an XOR parity. So, sa second naman, 0, 1, 0. So, 0, 1, 0 in an XOR, nagpo-produce siya ng 1. Okay? So, yun ang isa sa kagandahan ng RAID 5. Kaso, yun nga, ang isa sa issue ng RAID 5 is one hard drive failure lang, masisira na yung buong disk group mo. So, mawawala na yung kaya niyang masiraan ng isang hard drive. Pag nasiraan pa ng isa, wala na, hindi na makukuha yung data mo. So, yun na isa sa babantayan. Kaya, ang is, dapat, nakatingin parati yung, doon, yung mga nagmi-maintain doon. Pag naka-RAID 5, pag may nasira isa, palitan agad. Kasi, pag hindi yun na palitan, pag may nasira pang isa, wala na, biyak na yung RAID mo, RAID 5 mo, hindi na ma-recover yung data. Next is the RAID 6. Again, balance between performance and improved protection, of course. Kasi yung RAID 6 is dual parity siya. Para siyang RAID 5, kasi yung RAID 5 isang parity, ito dual parity. Read and write performance are increased. 50 to 25% overhead depending on configuration. Pwede mong palitan yung overhead, kaya. Pero yun nga, like sinabi ko kanina, pwede mong palitan yung overhead mo. Ang problema naman yung rebuild time, kung kaya ba in case na masira at pinalitan mo, mamaya matagal yung rebuild time kasi masyadong malaki yung RAID group mo. Hindi siya maka-rebuild in due time, tapos nasiraan na naman ulit. ayun na, yun na isa sa mga issue doon. Can handle double drive failure, of course. Two drives in one RAID group. Pag nasira, okay lang. Makikita pa yung files mo doon. Pag pangatlo, ayun na, wala na. Hindi niya na ma-access. So, ayan. So, ito yung typical na implementation. Ang minimum na number of drives to implement RAID 6 is 4. Pinakita ko lang dito 5. So, A1, A2, A3, and then may AP, AQ. Ito yung parang parity niya, no? Separate parity, separate parity. B1, B2, BP, BQ, B3, ganun din, separate parity. So, dual parity siya. So, C1, ganun din, CP, CQ, C3, C4 na to dito, DP, DQ, D3, ganun din. So, yun yung niya, no? Implementation ng ng RAID 6. Okay. So, yan. Dalawang parity. Dito rin, dalawang parity din. Dito dalawa, dito dalawa. Okay. So, natapos natin yung yung tawag nito, connectors, media, forms of data storage, even yung array implementation. So, okay, sinaksak na natin yung yung storage natin, yung mga hard drives natin, napili na, nilagay na doon sa enclosure. Kinonect na natin, for example, via IECEP, tas nakita nung natin, no enclosure, kinonfigure natin as RAID 5 o kaya RAID 6. So, makikita na yun as block storage doon sa server natin. Ngayon, para makapag-umpisa tayo ng sulat, makapagsulat yung system natin or recording system natin doon, kailangan natin ng file system. Hindi pwedeng storage lang, okay, sinaksak ko doon, okay na yan. Hindi, kailangan natin ng file system para makapagsulat tayo ng doon, data. Okay? So, the typical file system sa mostly prevailing ngayon sa Linux, which is XFS. Meron ding FAT32 sa mga small systems or sa mga embedded systems. And meron din tayong NTFS or New Technology File System. So, let's go through one by one. So, XFS file system is a high-performance 64-bit journaling file system. So, when you say journaling, before niya i-write yung data, gagawa muna siya ng journal. So, hanggat makommit na yung data doon sa file system, i-close niya na yung Okay. Okay. Tapusin ko lang itong sandali, ang file system. XFS. So, kagandahan ng XFS, is supported also by most Linux distribution. Some of which it's being used as a default file system. So, ang kagandahan nitong journaling file system, in case nasira yung yung power supply mo, tapos nagra-write siya during that time, mangyayari niyan, hindi siya magma-mount, yung volume hindi magma-mount. Nandyan lang pero hindi siya magma-mount. So, yun yung isa sa kagandahan ng journaling file system. I-recover mo lang siya kung ano yung last na metadata niya na generate. So, kagandahan sa kanya, kaya mong i-recover easily sa sa XFS. Meron yung meron siya mga utilities. Okay. Next. So, maximum volume size around 9 petabyte, excels in execution of parallel input-output. Okay. Operations due to its design, which is based on allocation groups, a type of subdivision of physical volumes in which XFS is also XFS is used, also shortened as AG. So when it comes to XFS file system, meron siya tinatawag na allocation groups. So every time na mag-create ka ng file system na XFS, automatic siya na mag-allocate ng mga allocation groups na yon. So like for example, nagsulat ka ng data doon sa file system, i-distribute niya yun across availability groups. So halos parallel niya i-write yun sa volume. So yun ang isa sa kagandahan niya. So mabilis talaga siya. Tawag nito, ano siya, maganda siya for high traffic applications. Okay? So yan isa sa mga features niya compared to ext4 and ext3 sa mga Linux file systems. So maximum extent size, file size, and of course file system size. So around EIB is exabits, or 1 exabits is 1100 something petabytes, no? So yun isa kagandahan niya. Tapos ito naman around 8 ano siya, no? 8 gigabits yung extent size naman niya. Tapos yung extended attribute size 64 kilobits. Hindi siya kilobytes eh. KIB kasi siya eh. Kung KB, capital K and B, yun ay kilobytes. So yun ay isa sa kagandahan. So pangmalakihan na file system, tapos pang maramihan na parallel access or writing, medyo nakalamang si XFS doon. Okay. Next is the FAT32 file system. Actually, medyo luma na siya, no? Luma na siya na file system. It was designed by Microsoft to overcome the limits of FAT16. FAT16 is like 32-bit file system. Kung yung kung yung XFS is 64-bit, yung FAT16 is 16-bit, yung FAT32 is 32-bit. Okay? So, ang isa sa mga maximum volume size is 17.6 terabytes. Less secure over the network kasi wala siyang parang network security, unlike sa preceding file system which is NTFS meron. Okay? So, next. Meron tayong tinatawag na NTFS or New Technology File System. So, it's a proprietary journal file system developed by Microsoft. Of course, ito yung mga nagsimula ang Windows XP pataas na humayagpag yung NTFS. Maximum volume size 8 petabyte. Of course, highly scalable and secure. Meron siyang mga additional securities not only locally but also when it's being provisioned over the network. So, meron tayong, the latest one is NTFS version 3.1. Okay. So, ito yung isa sa mga, mga comparison between FAT32 and NTFS. So, yung mga mga file naming niya 255 characters, yung file size pag FAT32 ka, pag nakikita mo yung FAT32, pag finormat mo yung flash disk mo from FAT32 to NTFS, pag meron kang isang file, for example movie na more than 4 gigabytes, hindi niya na kayang i-copy kasi yun isa sa limitation ng file system itself. So, kahit meron kang operating system na Windows 10 which is 64-bit, tapos may file ka doon na around 7 gig or 6 gig kasi maganda yung video na yon, full HD, kinopya mo sa flash disk mo na naka-format sa FAT32, mag-error yun, hindi yun papayag. Kasi nga yung file system ng USB mo is FAT32. Whereas kung i-format mo siya NTFS, kaya niya in one file size up to 16 terabytes. So may malalaking files ka, kaya accommodate ng NTFS kasi nga is ano siya 64-bit file system, at the same time up to 16 terabytes sa isang file alone. And at the same time, meron siya mga file and folder encryption, may auto repair siya, security, local and network, okay, compression, conversion, hindi na mako-convert, no, from NTFS to FAT32, hindi from FAT32 to NTFS pwede. So ito yung isa sa mga compatibility nung nung FAT32 and NTFS. So yan yung isa sa mga mga features niya. So may question dito, sir, ano po ang advantage ng SSD sa hard disk? So ang advantage ng SSD sa hard disk ay yung isa is performance. Number 1 yun, performance. Kasi I don't know kung nakakita na kayo ng mga SSD na naka-display sa mall. Pag ni-reboot mo yan, mabibilis lang yan dahil nga SSD sila, yung startup ng OS, nung detection ng hard drive doon sa sa system, mabilis. Pag nagta-transfer ka ng data, mabilis talaga siya. Kaya yung pinaka-advantage niya when it comes to hard disk. Pero when it comes to cost naman, talagang mas mahal yung SSD kumpara sa hard disk. At the same time, isa sa aside sa performance is meron pa tayong advantage doon sa power consumption. So when it comes to hard drives, meron kasi tayong motors. So pag naka-hard drive ka, yung battery life mo ng laptop mo, for example, is maliit kumpara doon naka-SSD ka. So may kaibigan ako na luma yung laptop niya, tapos gusto niya sanang bilhan ng bago. Nakita ko na Core i5. So sa tingin ko parang mabilis naman. So ang inano ko sa kanya, ni-recommend ko sa kanya palitan mo ng SSD. Ayun, nung pinilitan niya ng SSD, bumilis. Tapos tumagal pa, hindi pa basta-basta namamatay yung laptop kasi nga very less yung consumption ng power ng SSD. So yun yung mga advantages: power, performance, lesser power but more performance when it comes to SSD and hard disk. Okay. Tapos meron din isa, sir, required po ba na mag-add ng disk arrays kung mag-change po ng IP block ng /30 to 29/IP? Disk arrays, required po ba mag-add ng disk arrays kung mag-change po ng block /30 to 129? So when it comes to IP addressing, I think disk arrays usually IECEP. So from /30 to /29 IP block, required po ba na mag-add ng disk arrays kung mag-change po ng IP block ng /30 to /29? Bakit kailangan mag-add ng disk arrays? I don't think na kailangan mag-add ng disk array kasi nga nag-change ka lang naman ng IP address. So pwede yun na i-change mo na lang yung IP address. Okay. Isa sa question is there data storage design for CCTV? If yes, what is the best design or practice? Good question. Meron akong dito sa proposed na CCTV. Pakita ko lang sandali. meron kaming may mga tiers na nagawa doon actually sa proposed CCTV code. Nasaan ba yun? Yung annex. Okay, share ko lang sandali Shared. Ayun. Ito yung nakikita ba? So ito yung isa sa proposed. May storage type, may minimum RAID type, tapos yung mga connectivity wise kung naka-NAS or naka-SAN. So for example, up to 16 cameras, 30 days recording, DAS lang siya, no? Ni-require as DAS. Even up to 64, 128, meron pa 250. So dito sa 251 up to above, either SAN or NAS, depende na sa depende na sa requirement. Ayan. So hope I was able to answer your question. Okay. Next question is, can I merge different disk arrays? Depends on the term merge. So like for example, i-merge mo siya as iisang resource or i-merge mo siya as parang single location lang na accessible. Actually may mga solution na NAS and SAN protocols ay nandoon sa isang controller. So pwede kang mag-start doon kasi usually ang nangyayari na usual na merging ng different arrays is yun, like yung pinakita ko kanina, at the back end SAN siya, and then at the front end ginawa siyang NAS. So imbis na pwede mong i-advertise as SAN, ginawa mo siyang NAS. Pero depende yun sa depende yun sa unit mo kung NAS lang talaga siya or pwede ba siyang mag-SAN din. Ipo-provide niya yung client ng SAN protocols. So depende sa vendor. So yung meron talagang ganon, yung iba ready na SAN and NAS protocols, ini-enable lang via licensing. Ang lang is yun, depende from vendor to vendor actually. So yun, hope I was able to answer your question. May proper maintenance procedure po ba para sa CCTV storage? Like yung sabi ko, yung mga kanya-kanyang vendors, may kita mo online over the internet, paano mini-maintain, hindi lang mini-maintain, ino-operate yung mga SAN units nila or NAS units nila. So ipapakita ko dito, may isa akong na-download. Ito naman ay mabagal yata. Okay. So like for example, ito. Nakikita ba? Nakikita ba yung screen 3? Okay, screen 3 pala naka-share. Tama. So yan, like for example, ayan, storage manager, administrator's guide, So kompleto yan, no? Meron siyang configuration at the same time troubleshooting. So when it comes to proper maintenance procedure, so siguro kasama na yan yung preventive tsaka yung corrective. So proper maintenance, dapat meron kang corrective and preventive. And I think kasama yun doon sa sa proposed din namin na na CCTV code. Preventive, medyo mabagal yung preventive. May mga sample na forms to mga sample na forms lang, sample. Nandito yung sample niya, ayan. Preventive maintenance report. For example, ganyan, preventive maintenance report. Yan sa camera, sa wire and cable. Ito naman sa CCTV servers and storage. Ayan. Ito, sample lang to. Pero usually ang nag-ano diyan is yung vendor, meron silang mga recommended na mga mga procedures. Kasi nandun din sa nila sa mga operator or owner's manual. So nilalagay din yan doon. So ayan, sa CCTV storage systems, ayan. So like for example, dito ang sample is check for live and recording, days of recording, check for data storage capacity. Of course, may mga physical inspection ka, baka nginat-ngat na yung cable doon nung mga daga. So yun yung sa mga chine-check diyan. External parts of equipment, check mo kung may takip pa ba, mamaya ninakaw pati yung takip. Ayan. Tapos of course, yung isa sa mga ginagawa is system backup and restore. Ito yung parang configuration mo para in case na masira later on, pag ay madali na lang i-restore. Ayan, yun yung isa sa mga So I hope I was able to answer your question, Miss Girly Ocampo. Okay, next. Pwede makahingi ng copy? Yes, i-share natin to, yung copy. Anonymous attendee. Okay. Okay. Ano po ang pagkakaiba ng hyper-converged infrastructure versus software-defined storage? So sa software-defined storage is halos pare-pareho lang din sila, more on virtualization. So yung sa hyper-converged, kanya-kanyang vendor may kanya-kanyang term . So yung sa software-defined storage is focused more on the siguro yung software solution, paano mo i-virtualize yung storage mo. But when it comes to hyper-converged infrastructure, yung buong infrastructure, yung network, yung mga servers na nagse-serve ng mga storage protocols, pati yung yung back-end na, yung mga mga storage nodes niya, paano mo mabilis i-provision. So siguro may hyper-converged infrastructure ka, and then on top of it may may software-defined storage. So pwede 'yun. So pagkakaiba nila is more on back-end yung yung hyper-converged storage, tapos yung yung hyper-converged infrastructure, yung software-defined storage is more on software software application, kung paano mo i-provision yung storage. So I hope I was able to answer your question, Sir Arnel Gorospi. Thank you. Sir, pwede po ba kami makahingi ng sample proposal tulad na present niyo po? Thank you. Yung ang alam ko, itong proposed CCTV code ay binigay sa lahat ng local chapters for for review na rin, comment and review. So kung hindi kayo nabigyan, isabi niyo lang sa ano niyo, local chapter governor, tapos pwedeng mabigyan din ng ano ng copy. Okay. Thank you. I hope I was able to answer your question, Sir John Michael Moralda. Next is if nag-crash yung ano from Mr. Engineer Solomon Q. Guevara, if nag-crash yung isang head ng hard disk at nasira ang plotter nito, pero hindi naapektuhan ng ibang heads at plotter, pwede pa ba ma-retrieve ang data noon sa di naapektuhan na plotter at head? Depende. Kung yun ay in a RAID configuration, I doubt kung basta-basta mo lang marirecover yun. Pero kung directly attached ka, isang hard drive lang, may mga gumagawa noon, ginagawa nila, binubuksan nila yung hard drive, pati yung plotter, tinitingnan nila, tapos sinasaksak nila sa ibang controller. Pero in a RAID configuration, I doubt kung marirecover yun, kasi paano niya i-reconstruct yung data doon in a volume kung isa lang siya, no? So yun yung isa sa mga issue doon. So I hope I was able to answer your question, Sir Solomon Guevara. Okay. So okay. So yun, ito yung isa sa mga proposed CCTV code natin. I will proceed. So I'll proceed. So kanina na na-discuss natin yung yung mga recording medium, which is electromagnetic.
Gob, naka-presenter view ka?
Yes. Hi. Ano yun?
Naka-presenter view po. Yung isang screen.
Tama ba? Hindi pala. Share screen. Ayun. Okay na?
Okay na po.
Okay.
Okay. Ayun. So, for example, so like yung natin is meron tayong basic concepts, alam natin mga components ng storage. So, maramihan, kukonti, alam natin paano siya i-connect. So, pag kukonti, may mga kanya-kanyang direct connection. So, either SCSI, SAS. Pag maramihan na hard drives, pwedeng NAS or SAN. But then, dadaan ka ng mga controllers. And when it come to the controllers, could either be kung SAN ay SCSI or fiber channel. Kung NAS naman, may mga NFS or CIFS na na services. So at the same time, na-tackle din natin yung mga connectors nila, mga usual connectors ng fiber channel, ng iSCSI. Yung iSCSI is kasi TCP/IP lang, so lang siya, pwede fiber kasi pang malakihang bandwidth fiber. Kung maliitan 1 gig to 10 gig, pwede na rin copper, which is Cat6, Cat6A. So pwede yun. And yun nga, alam na rin natin kung ano yung mga file system, kung saan natin pwedeng isulat yung mga mga files, depende kung anong operating system meron tayo, no? So for example, may recording application ka na Windows. So, syempre, ang file system na i-consider mo is mostly NTFS. Kung Linux naman is yun, yung XFS. Pero may choice ka pa rin. Depende sa'yo, no? Pero, ito, next is, na tayo? Application. Okay? So, isa sa mga application doon is, syempre, dapat CCTV related. Okay? So like for example, ito yung mga applications, lower tier for video content and analytics. Pwede natin siyang gawing DAS. Higher tier sa mga runway surveillance, higher tier pwede rin NAS sa recording clusters. So pwede din gano'n, no? So for example, lower tier DAS, video content and analytics, around 100,000 video content analytics events and transactions via elastic indexing server. So solution kasi lower lang siya lower capacity lang siya. So solution for direct attached storage on clustered VCA servers. So bali yung servers dito kasi naka-elastic siya, usually naka-cluster siya, no? So para makaya niya yung maramihan na VCA events, maraming server siya kaso naka-cluster. So ang kagandahan doon is scalable siya, pero nakukuha mo pa rin yung requirement ng performance niya. So for example, ganito yung cluster niya. So may mga shards ka dyan, shards 1, shards 2. Yung Elasticsearch kasi para to maintain the clustering of the data, inaano niya yung data or indexes in shards. So ang ano natin dito, approach natin dito is pwedeng maliit lang na quantity or capacity pero dapat high performance. So ano yung approach? Maliit na requirement kasi VCA lang naman, video content and analytics. So every time na may events or may alarms, tsaka lang naman siya magre-record. So ano ang kailangan natin gawin? Anong hard drives na gagamitin natin? SAS ba, SATA ba, mechanical ba, or yung solid state? Tapos anong mga redundancies na gagamitin natin, no? So of course, DAS ang gagamitin natin kasi direct attached storage. Hindi naman natin kailangan ng maramihan kasi nga lower capacity lang naman siya. Pero may performance requirement siya, which is yung 100,000 events, events per second, pwedeng ganun. So ano yung mga approach natin doon? So pwedeng isang proposed solution is gagamit ka ng RAID 6 per performance and redundancy. But at the same time, SSD siya, no? SSD for high performance, especially during indexing. So kasi nga, 'di ba, 100,000 na events in 1 second. Like for example, buong Metro Manila nilagyan ng mga cameras, tapos ang daming violations. For example, yung VCA nag-capture siya ng violation for illegal parking, swerving. So let's say example sa Manila, in 1 day how many violations it might produce. That at the same time hindi ganoon kadami na na capacity requirement, pero kailangan mo performance requirement. So yun, isa sa mga is yung mga VCA servers mo na gumagawa ng indexing, lahat searching, ay implementan mo ng SSD. At the same time, i-RAID 6 mo for improve redundancy din, no? Performance and redundancy. So yun yung isa sa mga applications. Next, pwede makahingi ng copy ng audio. Okay. Next, isang example naman is ito, SAN for runway surveillance. So itong runway surveillance na to, meron siyang specific requirement kasi runway ang inaano niya, no, ang minomonitor niya, no. So around 5.1 gigabits per panoramic camera under JPEG 2000 at 300 megapixels at 20 frames per second for 30 days recording. So if you look at it, talagang ang laki ng requirement kasi nga siya malaking infrastructure din ang minonitor niya, no? So merong isang solusyon diyan. Ito 'yon, yung system architecture. Isa sa mga vendor is ito. So for example, meron kang mga panoramic cameras which is 300 megapixels. Ayan. So 4 to 6.4 gigabits. Isisend niya sa network tapos pupunta sa NVRs nila. So si NVRs nila may mga extenders. So of course, 10 gigabit, mostly this is IECEP. So yun yung niya, implementation niya, IECEP, and then nakasan ka na IECEP. So imbis na maglagay ka ng maraming maraming cameras, maraming connections, at the same time equipments scattered across the airport, ilagay mo na lang 3-4 na covered lahat yung runway, at the same time taxiway, at na siya, i-allocate mo na lang yung recording mo per camera para distributed na rin, hindi na kailangan sa isang central location. So ang ganda nito, meron din siyang VCA. So ewan ko kung nakikita nyo, bakit kailangan 5.1 or kasi nga dahil 6.4. Kung ipapakita ko sa inyo, ito yan share, ito yan, Logipix Airport Solution. Naka-share ba ako? Share sound, and then okay, naka-share ba? Okay, play natin. Ayan. So, kung makikita nyo, ang grabe yung detail ng resolution niya kasi kailangan niya, kasi nga runway ang ang requirement. Kaya ganoon na lang yung niya, yung bandwidth na kailangan niya. So yan sa airport, and then next, so yung proposed solution, RAID 6 SAS HHDs again, kasi nga kailangan natin ng improve performance, at the same time protection against hardware failure. So nilagay din natin na 1 sun unit per panoramic camera, kasi nga yung bandwidth ng bawat camera per panoramic camera is around nasa 5 to 6 gigabits per second, dahil nga 300 megapixel siya, no? 300 megapixel per per camera. So yun. And I think my last this one, last example is recording clusters. So using shared failover for minimized space provisioning. So nangyayari kasi typical na scenario is magpo-provide ka ng allocation, mag-allocate ka ng storage per recording server. But then in case na na masira yung isang server mo, kailangan mo ng failover, mangyayari is kailangan mag-activate yung standby server mo. At the same time, dapat may masusulatan siyang recording volume. Ang usually na nangyayari is may separate na volume na naka-allocate doon sa standby server, pero dedicated siya. So ang sinasabi dito is using shared failover for minimize space provisioning. So nagre-record tayo, pero yung failover niya is shared between the servers para ma-minimize natin yung space ng provisioning. So may mga ganong solution actually, like sa sa mga prevailing vendors na they allow for shared failover, na in case masira yung isa sa mga servers mo, magti-take over yung isang server, pero yung volume na ina-access niya is yung volume nung nasira na server. So hindi ka na kailangan mag-dedicate ng separate space pa just for the standby na hindi mo naman gagamitin kung walang nasisira. And then to take note, kung maramihan, edi marami kang standby servers, edi marami na rin yung space na ma-accumulate, which is a bit inefficient. So yun ang isa sa mga mga scenario na ginagamit. For example, ito, naka-shared failover siya. Ang gamit niya na software ay Pacemaker and CoroSync. So may mga hosts dito na tumatakbo ng clustering software. For example, imbis na URL, yung URL niya is recording services. So i-mount niya muna yung storage. For example, i-mount niya muna yung storage. Tapos mangyayari is pag may nasira sa isa sa mga host, naputol yung connection, or tawag nito, naging corrupted yung operating system niya, hindi siya nag-start ng maayos. So madidetect niya ng cluster software, kasi magko-communicate yan yung mga clustering software na yan in between host. Magko-communicate siya. Pag at certain time interval, hindi niya ma-reach yung isa sa mga host, ima-mark niya yun as unavailable. So pag unavailable yun, either sasabihin niya mag-restart ka o kaya mag-shutdown ka. Tapos sasabihin niya yung standby na okay, activate ka. Tapos i-mount mo yung storage nung nasira. Usually yung storage niya is over a network din, either usually it's a SAN, storage area network. So nangyari, yung last ng status ng storage, imamount nyo dun sa kabila, very efficient na yung ano mo, wala ka ng additional na storage requirement para dun sa standby. So habang inaayos mo tong nasira, continuous lang yung recording mo dun sa kabila, okay, until such time na maayos mo to, ibabalik mo na lang. So yun yung isa sa mga solution doon sa shared failover. So hindi mo na kailangan ng separate storage para lang doon sa standby na server. Pwede mo actually gawing shared failover na ma-access niya pa rin yung mga storage volumes between the host. At the same time, hindi lang sila sabay-sabay magma-mount. Kumbaga, kung sino lang online, yun lang magma-mount. Kasi pag sabay-sabay sila magma-mount on the same shared resource, mangyari, may corruption na mangyayari. Kasi hindi niya alam kung sino yung isusulat niya. So, dapat well-configured din yung clustering software mo. So, yun yung isa sa implementation doon. So, yun, yung proposed solution, again, RAID 6 SAN storage side, HDD pools, and then dual SAN controllers, of course, for redundancy, with support for clustered hosts. So, hindi lahat nung, nung vendors, nagsusupport ng clustered na host or clients na magko-connect sa kanila. So, kagandahan kasi nito, like for example, yung pinakita ko kanina, is they can all access the same resource but not at the same time, walang problema. At the same time, you don't have to provision additional space for the standby kasi pag nasira yung existing host mo doon, the same resource lang din naman ang imamount nung standby na server mo. So, yun ang isa sa kagandahan doon. So, yun. So far, may additional questions pa ba tayo? Yun. Okay. So, additional questions. Ano pa ba? Wala na pala. Ayan, ito meron pala. Answered. Okay, na-answered na. Tama.
Sir, meron po tayong question sa chat box.
Yes.
From Mr. Guevara Solomon. In the CCTV code, please consider or includes the Data Privacy Commission issuance here with the attached link. Please take note of number 2, observe the proportionality principle, except in cases where you are required by law or regulation to install a CCTV system. Begin by asking yourself this: is there a less intrusive way to achieve or meet the purpose of this system? Yun po yung question niya.
Okay. Hindi ko pa nakita actually yung Data Privacy Commission. Link natin. Let's see.
Okay, so encouraging our attendees, if you have questions related to the webinar topic, please raise it through the Q&A box. It will be answered right now. Yeah.
Actually, di ko makita yung yung link, pero it's more probably on the low na part. So, I think suggestion lang pala. Okay. Okay, point taken. Suggestion niya raw. Di ko makita actually kasi di ko makopy yung link sa chat box. Di ko ma-browse sa internet. So, Ayun po. Ayun, question and answer. Kung may questions po kayo. So far, yun yung scope na prepare ko. Kung may questions pa.
Sir, meron po tayong question via YouTube.
Okay.
Yes, this is a question from Mr. Jobel Ray Villestas. Hi, sir. With regard to the lifespan ng mga hard disk, HDD or SSD, umiiksi ba ang lifespan nila kung naka-overwrite ang configuration?
Overwrite. Ano ba yung overwrite? Tingnan ko nga sa YouTube. IECEP National. IECEP National. Okay.
Umiiksi ba ang lifespan nila kung naka-overwrite ang configuration? Hi, sir. With regard...
Umi-exceed ba? Okay. Hindi ko makita yung comments. Okay. Ang pag-iksi ng lifespan is mostly doon sa utilization ng hard drives, no? Like nung sinabi ko kanina, yung hard drives, yung SSD is more on write erase cycles. Yung ano naman, yung HDD naman is more on MTBF, mean time between failure, or annual failure rates. So like for example, may annual failure rate ka na 1%, and then meron kang 1,000 na hard drives. So pag sinabi nung vendor na around this portion, yung annual failure rate natin 1%, so around 10 hard drives ang masisira sa iyo in 1,000 hard drives per year. So yun yung isa sa doon consideration. So actually yung masisira yun depende sa depende sa specifications ng vendor. Kung dineclare nila na ganon, so doon tayo magbabase usually. May isang question pa, Sir Arnel Guruspi. Doon po sa example diagram nyo sa slide, naka-multicast po ba ang configuration ng mga IP cameras? Sa anong example kaya ito, sir? Yung sa airport kaya? Naka-multicast. Kung itong sinasabi nyo, sir, yung sa airport, hindi siya naka-multicast. Actually kasi kahit isang stream lang, umaabot na siya ng 6 gig kasi yung compression niya is JPEG 2000, at the same time yung laki ng resolution is 300 megapixels, tapos 20 frames per second pa. So hindi po siya naka-multicast. Actually unicast lang siya diretso dito. May follow-up question, wala po bang lag sa network? Depende, kung maraming hops, maraming lag, kaya isa sa mga consideration ng design is the lesser the hops, the better. Kaya mas maganda kung meron kang network nito, yung network between storage and the camera itself, or yung server mo and the camera should be like sila lang dalawa. Ganon. Dapat para walang lag. Tapos yung connection mo to the VMS, video management software, is ibang interface naman, tapos ibang route naman. So yun ang isa sa mga mga consideration. Layer 3, yes, layer 3, alam ko layer 3 yun. Answer ko lang. And then what's the best price in terms of number of years before replacing the HDD in CCTV. What is the best practice in terms of number of years before replacing the HDD in CCTV system? Walang best practice in terms of number of years kasi yung HDD yun nga may kanya-kanyang sila mean time between failures. Yung iba may umaabot na 2 million hours, 1 million hours. So depende, no. Yung iba naman na based on annual failure rate. So depende sa vendor actually. So syempre pag compared mo yung SATA at SAS, mas tumatagal yung SAS kumpara sa SATA kasi mas iba yung circuitry ng SAS or SCSI, mas makapal yung yung PCB, tapos mas maganda yung circuitry niya kumpara sa SATA. So I hope I answer your question, Sir Kendall Kua. May question pa po ba?
Alright, so encouraging our participants to raise their questions, for this is now our Q&A portion. So if you have questions related to the webinar topic, kindly raise it in our Q&A box so that our speaker will answer it right now. Yeah. Right, so hearing none, reading none, in 3, 2, 1. So parang wala na pong questions, Engineer Rica Flanca. So thank you very much, Engineer Sherwin Rica Flanca, for your topic.
It's Carmelito po, ma'am.
Wait, meron pa po palang meron pa po palang nagpahabol. Sorry po.
Sino?
Yes po.
Hindi, may nag-raise ng
Ano
hand.
po masasabi ninyo sa Dalmir?
May nagre-raise ng hand po. Si Ricky Pai Reasonable. Tsaka si Engineer Jesilo si Magala. Magsasalita ba?
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Sige.
Afternoon.
Ako muna.
Okay.
Sige. Kanina may diagram kang pinakita doon sa doon sa fiber channel. And then ang tanong ko lang, kasi 'di ba nag-a-assign ng LANs yung hosts papunta doon sa network sa SAN. Ngayon, paano nalalaman ng cluster ng hard disk kung kanino specific pupunta na LAN yung yung data na i-store doon sa LAN? Paano na ma-manage? Saang specific point doon sa network na ma-manage yung LAN na yun? Meron bang OS na ma-manage doon sa LAN at tinatanggap niya yung request from HBAs papunta doon sa LAN, or yung OS ng host mismo bahala na siya kung paano niya ibabagsak doon sa pool ng LANs?
Okay. So kailangan tingnan ko yun ulit. So for example, ayan no. For example, yung node sa baba ay storage.
Oo, yan.
Sa taas
Yan. Kasi dito sa diagram na to, mula doon sa host mo, dumiretso ka na ng switch. So sino ang nagde-designate, sino ang nagma-manage yung traffic para pumunta doon sa specific na LAN yung data na i-store doon
Yung
specific
nagmamana
LAN
sa
na yun?
traffic usually is itong fiber channel switch through LAN masking. Na like for example,
Okay.
yung LAN na to, specific LAN na to ay allocated lang for ganitong node na to.
Mm.
So, in case na ito mag-access sa LAN na to, makikita niya, i-check niya yung LAN masking, ay hindi match o hindi ka allowed. So, dito na lang. So, itong mag-access, ito lang yung allowed.
So si fiber channel switch, para siyang nag-act as Ethernet switch na para bang source and
Oo,
destination,
pero,
MAC address yung
pero
dating.
fiber channel na protocols at
Mm.
yung switch
Ah,
niya. Tama, oo.
okay. So ibig sabihin, kunwari, meron akong SAN, i-configure ko yung fiber channel switch beforehand na ito yung specific LANs na to at yung ikakabit ko na HBAs sa uh,
Oo.
sa northbound or southbound,
Oo.
automatic, yun na yung para sa kanya talaga dedicated.
Oo. So, may mga port ID sila, i-configure mo dito rin. So, tapos, ibabind mo yung mga port
May
ID.
port binding. So hindi
Oo.
pwedeng hindi pwedeng i-interchange yung connection, physical connection nung fiber channel switches from different HBAs at ipagpalit sila na hindi mo i-reconfigure ulit yung port binding na yun.
Oo, hindi.
Okay.
Mm. Okay. Dalmir. Okay, pahabol si Engineer Arnel Gorospi. Yung Dalmir, alam ko, video runway surveillance din yun eh. Pero, di ko pa nakita halos lahat ng specifications eh. Pero, mukhang okay naman. Ayun. So, thank you. Anonymous, pwede makahingi ng copy ng CCTV code, send lang sa email please. May attendance ba? Yes, may attendance po tayo. I-send po later on yung ang alam ko i-send po later on yung webinar survey and learning evaluation. At the same time, yung copy ng CCTV code, kung pwede nyo po hingin sa sa chapter gov nyo po, at kung wala po sila, pwede po sila humingi sa amin diretso. Thank you. Ayun. Back to you, madam.
Alright, so meron pa ba tayong mga tanong? Seems that all of the questions were already answered by our speaker. Ayan, meron pa pong pahabol. Sir, meron pong nagtanong sa Q&A box natin from Vincent Bienric Bravo. Hi sir, ask ko lang po, we have CCTV system in our work but the feed of video cannot be seen through TV. Is it still recording in DVR or the camera should be replaced po or LAN cables? Upon diagnose ko po kasi all cameras are still working.
Okay, so
Could you
CCTV
capture that,
system,
sir?
but feed of video cannot be seen through TV, but it is still recording in the DVR. So when it comes to DVR, analog siya. So I don't think it needs LAN cables. So maybe mistype lang. Kung NVR siya, yun LAN cable siya, no? So hindi nyo makita sa TV, malamang naka VGA yung NVR nyo papunta sa TV. Maraming troubleshooting steps. Check nyo yung TV nyo kung gumagana ba talaga from other sources other than DVR or NVR. At the same time, yung yung camera nyo, sabi nyo kasi all cameras are working, so most probably you check it locally yung camera nyo, meron kayong camera viewer na local, so posibleng ganon. So yes, pwede LAN cables in case each local component is working, the camera and the TV is working locally, so pwedeng mangyaring ganon. So Yun, depende sa ano no, depende sa diagnosis. I-check nyo lang one by one per component, i-isolate nyo at baka yun may isang mag ano doon, may kita nyo kung ano yung issue. Yan po. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Vincent. Bravo.
All right, so that's it for our Q&A portion. Thank you very much, Engineer Sherwin Rica Flanca. Your topic is indeed relevant and
Carmelito po, madam.
highly technical, yeah? So, hello.
Ma'am Carmelito Bernadez po
Hello
yung
to our
speaker natin.
very...
Si Engineer Sherwin
sorry
po, siya po yung nag-introduce kanina kay
nag-introduce.
Engineer Carms.
My bad and my apology. Sorry po, sir. So, yun, hello to our attentive 131 participants. Wow. How are you? Still good? Yeah. Ayan, medyo nalilito na tayo sa mga pangalan, no? Sorry po, Sir Speaker. Ayan, so, yan, before we proceed to the giving, awarding of the certificates, allow me to acknowledge our guest of honors who are with us today in this webinar. Our due respect to Dr. Alnar C. Vitalia, our chairman of the Board of Electronics Engineering, Engineer Reco Del Moro, member of our Board of ECE, Dr. Michelle D. Lawas, our IECEP National President, Engineer Joseph Carl G. Salva, IECEP National, the VP for Education, Engineer Anthony M. Laid, IECEP National Auditor, Engineer Jesse D. Toro, IECEP National VP Internal, and Engineer Romy Agatep, PTC County Registrar and former IECEP National President. So, good afternoon, maayong gabi sa inyo, to all of you, sir. So,
yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
All right. Yes. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever we are in the world. Okay, so with that, may we ask a message from our guest of honors po?
Ma'am Janice, paki-call na lang isa-isa kung nandyan sila.
Okay. Sige po. Okay, may we ask a message from our very own chairman of the board of ECE, Dr. Alnar D'Italia. Sir, thank you for attending, and may we ask for your thoughts or message for our webinar for today. Okay, so seems like Dr. D'Italia. Okay po.
Hi. Hello.
Yes, sir. Hello po. Good evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good evening. Sorry. Been attending other webinars simultaneous. But anyway, I'd like to congratulate the Qatar chapter for sponsoring this activity together with IECEP CARAGA. Am I right? Tama ba?
Yes, sir.
It's a topic that been popular nowadays because this kind of practice will be used by our professionals right in their own respective places about CCTV. And probably it's a enhancement or learning from our professionals because it's been my experience every time we interview a professionals applying for upgrading to PECE, and especially for those professionals whose fields are in this particular area. Minsan tinatanong natin yung about the storage, paano mo kinocompute? How did you come up with that kind of storage? With those cameras that are being used and the resolution minsan hindi masagot eh. So it's about time that our expert can share their knowledge with regards to this, because those simple things that are being asked during the interview minsan some of our professionals are dependent on applications na, or probably estimate, and if you're going to ask them how did you come up with that estimate, and can you show us the exact calculation in coming up with that particular estimate, some of them cannot really give the right answer. Parang sinasabi, based on experience, yun yung storage amount of storage na gagamitin natin, gano'n, no? So it's about time that we should not be dependent on the application, but then as practitioners, dapat alam natin paano natin ma-compute talaga, no? So kumbaga, dapat may kwenta, hindi lang puro kwento, no? So I guess this particular activity could really enhance the knowledge of our professional, especially in this particular field. And dapat the focus should be not just giving estimate, but sharing also the exact calculation of how these things are going on as far as design is concerned. But anyhow, I'd like to appreciate the host, IECEP Qatar. They are expert on this, being the lead chapter in coming up with our soon to be adopted CCTV code. So I'd like to congratulate this chapter. And again, thank you for leading the drafting of this CCTV code. And we are hoping that soon this code will be formally adopted and then published in official gazette, so that it is going to be an official part of the electronics code of the Philippines. Thank you very much, and good evening, maayong gabi sa tanan.
Maayong gabi, sir. Thank you very much for gracing our webinar today. So, ika nga, ano ang kwento sa bawat kwenta? Yeah, so with us also today is Engineer Reco Del Moro, who will also give us a message. Sir? May we ask Engineer Del Moro for his message?
Yes. Good evening to all of you. Late na ako dumating. Past 9 na yata ako nakapag-log in. But I told Adonis na malilate ako kasi I have another Zoom activity the same time, same starting time, 7 din. So it ended at 9. And kwando ako yung speaker, kaya I cannot divide myself onto devices at the same time. But again, congratulations to IECEP Qatar. Now may bago siyang kalaguyo, no? or ka-collaborate, IECEP CARAGA, no? Pareho kayo ng first syllable, Qatar, CARAGA, no? Pwede rin sigurong i-factor, but seriously, thank you for IECEP Qatar for doing this webinar. Gaya ng sinabi ng ating chairman, ito yung expertise ng IECEP Qatar on CCTV, and I hope that the CCTV book will be accepted soon. Sana magkaroon ng magandang result yung discussions with other agencies, so that this will become basically our book fight, no? Yung ating ECE codes. So again, thank you, and good evening from Pampanga. Nandito ako sa Pampanga ngayon eh.
Thank you very much, Engineer Del Moro, for your message. Good evening po. Indeed, IECEP CARAGA is very grateful to have this collaboration with IECEP Qatar. So next to give us a message is Dr. Michelle D. Lawas, the IECEP National President. Good evening, ma'am.
Hello, thank you so much, Janice. And magandang gabi sa lahat. First of all, I would like to congratulate IECEP CARAGA for being on board this 2021. No? Kasi yung year 2020, parang hindi ko nakikita na naging responsive si CARAGA chapter in giving up an activity like this, yung sa mga online, yung bayanihan natin, and even collaboration and giving up something. So I am very happy that the IECEP Qatar was able to cultivate the culture of bayanihan this time. So this is one of our activities na we need to empower, we need to help out other organization. We will partner yung mga ipa-partner po natin for a better and good activities for this year. So of course, to our resource speaker, thank you so much, Engineer Carmelito, for that very wonderful and very comprehensive technical webinar for all our ECEs. And of course, to our, andito very supportive, yung board po natin, sila Sir Alnar, sila si Rico, the former president of IECEP, we have Engineer Agatep, and all our current board of directors and officers of IECEP 2021, and of course to all the governors and the participants of this webinar. Maraming salamat, and we are glad to have you on board this evening, and thank you for your Saturday, for being with us. And of course, the IECEP National, very delighted for your presence, and this is actually a manifestation of your support to our activities for the implementation of Republic Act 1992, giving up and streamlining technical seminars and technical education for all our members. And it is fair to conclude that this the webinar tonight was a success. Kasi nga, I am very excited for this, that the CARAGA region, CARAGA chapter, we're able to be on board na, at saka parang nai-excited na sila with our upcoming activities. And of course, I would like to personally acknowledge Engineer Kensley and Dr. Criseldo Kalinawan for IECEP CARAGA. And I would like to also congratulate each and everyone for subjecting yourselves to this webinar, and making this opportunity to be more equipped in terms of technical understanding and knowledge. And of course, this is also one way of strengthening our technical capability by attending such seminar like this, not only earning CPD points, but this is how we are going to equip and to be more technical in terms of understanding and in terms of knowledge. So with that, the national officers are all very happy with all your activities. Very independent po kayo, kahit na without the support, you have all your independence to really have to come up with an activity na talagang nagmamanifest po talaga ng support with our national. So with that, maraming salamat and congratulations, and looking forward to another technical seminars, another collaboration with our foreign and local chapters. Magandang gabi po, maayong gabi sa tanan.
Maayong gabi, Doc. Maayong gabi, thank you.
Maayong gabi.
Maayong gabi, ma'am. Salamat kaayo.
Yo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Michelle D. Lawas, our IECEP National President. So, to give us another message, who graced us tonight is Engineer Romy Agatep, our former IECEP National President. Sir?
Good morning. Good evening. Maraming salamat. Nice moderator. Magandang gabi sa iyo. Of course, I'd like to acknowledge the governor of Qatar, Kensley, and the governor of CARAGA, Kalinawan, all the, of course, the president, national president of ISEP, Michelle, the chairman of the board of BCE, Doc Alnar, and member Rico. Of course, all the participants and members of the two chapters, the CARAGA chapter and Qatar chapters. And I'd like to thank you for inviting me on this very technical presentation. I learned a lot to be interviewed by Doc Alnar regarding the storage about CCTV. Because of the seminar, I'm equipped now, maybe a little knowledge about how to compute the storage of CCTV. And again, with this kind of seminars that we are doing right now, it really helps our members. It helps our the population of ECE practitioner, not only the engineers, but also the technicians and technologists. And maybe in the future, I like our chapters, no, or maybe the national officers and directors. Maybe we can go make some seminars, no, on items that we seems I don't like to use the word weak, no? But there are some items that subject matters that we really have to delve in. Maybe like IT, maybe in instrumentation and controls, maybe in computer storage, no? Maybe on cybersecurity, or maybe data processing or data security. So those are the items na maybe in the future we can have some good seminars and workshop about these things. And again, I'd like to congratulate the two chapters for this very interesting, very informative seminars, and wish everybody a nice weekend. And this is the second to the last day of February, and it's still a Chinese New Year. So I'd like to greet everybody, Happy Chinese New Year. Maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Maraming
Back to you,
salamat.
Moderator. Yeah.
Maraming salamat din po, Engineer Agatet. Yes, I agree with you. This webinar is indeed interesting and informative. And this very Saturday, we have a very productive day, I assume. So yun, thank you very much.
Can I say, can I have additional inputs, Madam Moderator?
Yes, sir. Go ahead po. Yes,
Yeah,
sure
okay.
po.
So I just want to take off the statement of Engineer Agatep. Siguro to follow up na lang siguro a sort of reminder. Siguro just to encourage our national officers and chapters. Siguro wag nating kalimutan yung mga topics ng IT at sa computer, tama 'yon, no? Kasi we're claiming that's our scope, but then minsan nakalimutan na natin and we let other discipline do their do their shares, no? So dapat we have to also be very active in we have also to concentrate on that particular field, IT and especially computer. Otherwise minsan sila yung maging visible, hindi tayo, no? So this is just a sort of encouragement and probably reminders to our national officers to really also focus on those fields. So yun lang, and good evening to all of us.
Thank you, Dr. Ditalia, for that additional information and thoughts. So gracing us tonight also is Engineer Romy Agatep, I mean, Engineer Jesse Di Toro, who will also give us a message. Sir?
Hello, good evening everyone.
Good evening po.
I think nasabi na lahat. So it's just siguro my congratulations to IECEP Qatar on this collaboration with IECEP CARAGA. I know naubos na yung belief ko sa mga loading na to ng IECEP Qatar. And thank you very much din pala kay Brad Adonis kasi siya talagang nag-iimbita sa atin at saka hindi tayo makakahindi sa kanya. So with that, I hope na ipagpatuloy natin tong mga collaborations na to kasi ito yung magandang nagagawa ng pandemic. As I always said na nakakakuha tayo ng mga talents around all over the world, no? Hindi na natin kailangang papuntahin physically sa lugar natin at kahit saan, kaya anytime madali natin silang matap. So with that, yeah, I hope na mas marami pang collaborations between chapters, no? And maraming salamat, daog maayong gabi sa tanan.
Maayong gabi, sir. Thank you very much for your message.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much to our guest of honors for tonight's webinar collaboration with IECEP Qatar and IECEP CARAGA. Rest assured that your thoughts and messages are well taken, well noted po as per recording of this Zoom meeting. So kanina nag-proceed na po tayo sa messages. So balikan po natin ang pag-award sa Certificate of Recognition to our guest speaker. So let us not forget that. Certificate of Recognition is awarded to Engineer Carmelito Bernadez Jr, Professional Electronics Engineer, in grateful recognition and commendation of his invaluable efforts and exemplary performance as a resource speaker with the topic Data Storage for CCTV Systems during the 2021 webinar collaboration series with IECEP Qatar and IECEP CARAGA chapter, given this February 27, 2021. Signed by Engineer Criseldo C. Kalinawan, our IECEP CARAGA governor, as well as Engineer Kensley Armon F. Manasi, the IECEP Qatar governor. So thank you very much, Engineer Bernadez. So I hope I'm not wrong this time with your name. My apology a while ago.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So,
Janice.
yes,
Janice,
ma'am.
can I back in? Yes, just for a very short may I have this opportunity to promote our YouTube channel? Can we invite the 128 participants the strong participants in our webinar tonight for this data storage for CCTV system? Pwede po ba, can you log into our YouTube channel, IECEP National po? We need all your support and your likes and subscription kasi that is another avenue of our income. That's the program of our publication committee as well as the research, the finance committee to really come up with another avenue of income for our organization. So I need your support to please, it's in your chat box, YouTube, yung YouTube po natin, just type IECEP National, then you'll have all the data in that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the reminder. I just did. Yes, I just subscribed to our IECEP National YouTube channel. So in the advent of technology and as a professional who are in line in technology, so support po natin yung IECEP National natin na YouTube channel. So visit po natin yan. Ang link po nasa chat box, so you may click it and then hit the subscribe button. So yun po. Okay, so may I call on our ISEP CARAGA Governor for his reminders or further announcements before our closing remarks? Any announcements, sir? Or from ISEP Qatar, Engineer Manesi?
Yeah.
Sige, una na si
Yeah.
Gov, Chris. Si Gov.
Okay. Yeah, good evening, Engineer Julius. Of course, reminders lang po, no? As I said, as what our national president just said, no, na suportahan po natin yung YouTube channel. So I'm urging po sa lahat ng mga ISEP CARAGA members po natin and officers. So don't forget po, mark up po natin yun. Suportahan po natin ang YouTube channel national po or sa ating ISEP. So I believe yun lang din po yung masasabi ko for now as reminders. And congratulations sa atin po lahat.
Thank you, sir. Any announcements from Engineer Manesi before we have our closing remarks? And
Yes, thank you. In general lang, magpapasalamat lang po ako sa lahat ng mga nag-attend, especially sa ating mga VIPs and guest of honors. Thank you po sa pag-attend. Lagi silang nakasuporta sa atin, national president and national officers, as well as chapter governors and officers. Yung BCE natin lagi rin nandyan. So maraming salamat po. And also, I would like to announce ko na rin, though hindi pa na-post sa Facebook, yung next webinar. We will have a collaboration with IECEP SOC Sergeant this coming March. It will be a back-to-back webinar. So abangan nyo lang po sa fan page ng mga chapter, as well as i-advertise ko na rin yung other chapters kasi nakikita nyo na very active ang lahat ng chapters natin ngayon. So tignan nyo lang po lahat ng fan page ng mga chapters, local and abroad, kasi napakaraming webinars. So let's take advantage yung opportunity na to ngayon. So ayun lang po, and thank you very much. So sa March po yung susunod na webinar namin.
thank you, Engineer Manesi, for your message and reminders. So without much further ado, to formally close our webinar today, a good mentor and a friend of many, one of the board of directors of IECEP CARAGA chapter. So let us welcome Engineer Leo Cipriano L. Orbisto Jr. for his closing remarks. Sir?
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Engineer Janice. Thank you for hosting.
Leo?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
All right. Before I close this event, I would like to congratulate the two chapters, IECEP CARAGA and IECEP Qatar, and my colleague also in the Technical Development Committee headed by our chairman, Engineer Adonis, and my respect to our chairman of the board of ICE, Dr. Arnal Vitalia, member of the board, Engineer Rico Del Moro, our former president, Romy Agat, former national president, our current president of IECEP, Dr. Michelle Lawas, the members of, or the officers of IECEP National, Engineer DC Di Toro and Engineer Carl Salva, and the rest of the members of IECEP CARAGA and IECEP Qatar, the officers, both governors, congratulations. And in behalf of IECEP CARAGA, I would like to thank all the participants in this webinar. Since nag-start yung webinar, you stayed until natapos siya. When the webinar started, ongoing din yung online exam ko kanina kasi nag-aaral tayo. And nagmo-monitor lang ako kasi I took the exam 5 p.m. and I ended up 8:30. So the discussion was very fruitful, and I know a lot of us who are not into the field of the topic being mentioned are now aware of what is really in the industry. So thank you to our speaker, Engineer Bernadez, for giving his time and providing inputs to us engineers. Hopefully, this will not be the first and the last of the collaboration of IECEP and Qatar, IECEP CARAGA and Qatar, or IECEP Qatar. I think there are many more collaborations to be done, including other chapters also. Because even with this COVID pandemic, it cannot stop us from continuous learning so that we can be more effective. Sabi nga ni Engineer Agatip, our former national president, ICE, elite class of engineers. And again, thank you very much. Congratulations to all of us, to all members and officers of both chapters. Thank you, and have a good day. Good afternoon to the Middle East, and good evening here in the Philippines. Mayong gabi. Daghang salamat.
Thank you, Sir Loloy.
Thank you. Paiwan po yung mga panel mag-picture.
Yeah. But before that, sir, may I just reiterate to our attendees that the link for the post-evaluation form will be sent to your respective emails. Yung ginamit niyo po pa-register. So, yun po, it will be sent to you. Kindly view your emails na lang po so that you can answer our evaluation form as well as our for a while. For, of course, every one of us for a photo op via Zoom. Yeah, the new normal. Photo op opportunity, the new normal. A Zoom operator for a picture taking. Yeah.
Pan-share na lang ng screen. Pan-share na lang ng PowerPoint.
Sino po ang kukuha ng picture?
Ako na po. Sige po. Ayan. Better.
Okay.
So, ayan.
Sir Ed po.
So, turn on na lang po ng mga cameras ng mga panelists. So, we have 2 pages. And hintay lang natin ibang turn on.
Kindly turn on your cameras po and show your smile. Be a productive one, yeah.
Natin Sir Rico, nag-busy yata. Akala ko nag-quote pa si Sir. Okay, ready? Wala mahabol. Okay, I'll count. 1, 2, 3, smile. Ay, Sir, just wait. Ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. Sama po. 1, 2, 3. Another one, next page. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Maraming salamat po.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you very much everyone for attending the webinar Collaboration and Data Storage for CCTV Systems with IECEP Qatar. Yes, thank you very much, IECEP Qatar and IECEP CARAGA chapter. So we hope to see you in more of our webinars soon. Stay safe and God bless.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.